PSNORKIS podcast, a show with real topics discussed by real people with real opinions and tempered with a real sense of humour. Now here are your two PSNORKISers. Or is it PSNORKI? Screw it. Here are your hosts, Dr. Mike and the Madman.
Oh, a microphony. And a phony is mine.
And we're back. And I say it that way because we just recorded the one you heard last week. And we're recording this one now. And this is like an elephant in the room type of scenario here. Something that we alluded to the last time. We just spent literally 20 minutes kind of going around it. And now it's time to roll tape and actually... And if you want to see how we got there, become a member and check it out. You're listening to the PSNORKIS podcast. I'm the Madman. It's good to have you back, my friend. It's been a while. Well, it's been a week, basically. And with me, of course, is my partner, Doc. What the hell? I did it again.
Wow, he just doesn't want me on the show.
You know what it is?
I'm pretty sure he doesn't
I set
want
the
me
board
here.
up for a certain way, and the way you're sitting is different from that. I'm sorry. It's
How about now?
what?
I changed the way I was sitting.
Oh, yeah.
How about now?
Oh, yeah.
All right,
That's the way I sit when I'm about to let out a fart,
There
though,
we
but that's
go.
just me.
and here we are.
Okay.
No. Nope.
Right, honey?
Oh, see, you don't want you on the show either.
I'm just going to turn them all on at once.
Go.
Hello, PSNORKIS friends.
Hi, Petey.
Hi.
Well,
Glad to be here.
Yeah.
Glad you can hear me.
yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Oh,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
God. This is terrible.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fumble. Yeah, fumble.
Didn't you work in radio?
yes, I did, which is here's the thing. And that's
Nobody
what
was
I did.
listening. But bump.
I have the board laid out, and I should actually label it
Yeah,
with
that's
names.
that Stevie Wonder board.
But I have it laid out. Where's number one's me.
right.
Then to the left of me is number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5,
You're
number
number
6.
2.
But then in my head, it's
Scary,
like, well, my
scary
partner's number 2,
Yeah,
which
wow.
is you,
Yeah.
or my wife is number 2 when I go to her, and it's like, I just
Maybe we should just hold numbers up. That'll help you out.
maybe I should
Put
just
some
put
numbers in
the
the
actual
mix.
labels on there so I can look down and read, but then I'd have to wear my glasses. So.
After all these years, Mike, he doesn't have your number.
Yeah, he-
Yeah, but I got yours.
What I am. What
After
he
49 years, I got yours.
I'm number 6. Sick. That's me.
How come when he has my number, I'm number 2? What's that about?
Shit happens.
Oh, yeah. We got the whole council anyway. We got Doc, we got Petey, we got Kitty.
Hello, my darlings.
Oh, is her mic's on?
Because I'm loud.
Already.
All right.
We got Rebel.
Greetings and salutations, PSNORKIS friends.
Oh, I like that. That actually
nice.
was like, yeah, wow. Ooh, do it again.
Hello, hello.
And we got Rocket.
See?
That almost sounds X-rated.
Right?
I'm a little concerned
know.
about you over there.
That's not
Reaching-
even my most X-rated noises.
No,
Dear God,
actually,
y'all.
it's not because I've heard some of them.
Oh my
Yeah.
God!
Wow. Yeah, you gotta be a member for
Let's
that.
clarify.
what?
Let's clarify
No,
It's good to be the
immediately.
king.
Not like that. That is not what I
Hey-o.
Oh, my God.
Let's immediately clarify. Let us not waste another moment.
I think
Dear God.
we have all the clarification we need.
Oh, that's not what I meant.
Hello. You're speaking with Desira.
Yeah.
What are you wearing?
Yeah. Wait, do you have a MasterCard?
MasterCard or Visa,
Yeah,
baby.
yeah, there it is.
I said MasterCard, not masturbate.
Oh,
Something new to discover.
jeez. Wow.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
That was good.
You're welcome.
Are you
Nice.
touching
Bravo,
yourself?
bravo.
Wow.
Or are you just pushing buttons?
He's not doing that.
Oh, he's
It
right,
takes
though.
the black card to
He's
break
right,
the ring.
All right. Well, we're all officially here now.
Good morning.
That all went to hell in a handbag.
It didn't take long.
That took an immediate left turn directly to Sin Alley.
That is going to hell faster than our country is underneath the current
I
administration.
mean, I'm really
I'll tell you
impressive
what.
that I could inspire that immediate turn to just absolute sin.
I've got to tell you, I'm just biding my time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Knee pads and pee pads?
well, should I? No, I won't say it.
That's the current administration. Knee pads or pee
you
pads.
got that right.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Well, why don't we jump into history?
We're gonna. Okay,
and then
yeah.
we'll jump into
Let's
the-
jump into
Yep,
history.
Just jump
and
into
then we're
history
jumping our
first, and we're
first
going to
topic.
jump into first topic, which,
Yeah.
will
Which
probably
we're
be
never
the
getting
only
out
one.
of.
Which will probably be.
No,
We're not,
we're
no.
not.
All right.
So, May 15th, right?
May 15th.
Yes.
National Chocolate Chip Day.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Oh, that should be screaming
I know.
your name
I know.
over there.
Oh, cookie.
Whose name?
Yours.
My name.
Yeah,
Why
that
is
should
that?
be National Kitty Bake Day.
Because he wants
That's
more
what it should-
freaking cookies
Yeah.
for his Darth Vader cookie jar. Must be empty
his
again.
mother said he's not allowed to have any more cookies.
Oh.
Your mother said so?
I don't
That's
know.
just the way the cookie crumbles.
Or doesn't crumble.
Or doesn't in his
Or doesn't
case. Right,
crumble, yeah.
exactly.
That's very sad.
How about cake? Does your mom have something against cake?
No, everyone loves cake.
Everyone loves cake.
I love
Cake,
cake.
I love
She was
cake.
a lot of fun when we had her here.
Yes,
Yeah.
she was.
Yeah, it was fun. All right, sorry, go ahead.
It's also Ride a Unicorn Day.
Ooh.
Are you horny?
Wow.
Which end?
Oh, you clarify that for
Yeah,
bad
you
man.
can clarify that.
Wow.
No,
I think
actually, I
unicorn.
can't.
Well, it's a national animal of where? Scotland. right?
Scotland, yeah. You know what's funny about that too is like as somebody who's in the dating field, which is a complete disaster clusterfuck nightmare.
yeah.
Thank God I don't have to do that anymore.
A unicorn can also be referred to a woman who is sought out usually by a male and female couple to participate in bedroom activities with them.
What?
What?
They
Yeah.
took that term too. Unicorn. Now?
Yeah, they
Took
did.
that too?
Every
Yeah,
term
because
has
I
been
get asked
turned
by
ridiculous.
I get
around.
asked by a lot of couples like, "Oh, are you a unicorn?" And then I stupidly asked, "What was that?" And then I found out things I didn't want to know while sober.
All right, so we all know to ask her when she's drunk.
So last week it was a
Lubrication
pineapple.
makes everything
this week it's a
easy.
unicorn.
You know that's
What?
it drives me nuts.
What?
The English language keeps getting
That's
twisted. They
ridiculous.
keep.
This-
No, they keep going to Urban Dictionary
Look.
and faking it.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. First of all, the term "gay" used to mean happy.
It still does.
The
Still
gay
happy.
90s, the gay, happy gay. What's one song that is still in? All of a sudden, I need to think about it quick, so it's not coming to me. But
Happy.
I feel pretty.
oh,
'Cause I'm happy.
No, that's just gay. But
Oh, God, it is horrible singing.
but
Haunted by that I am.
the word "dyke."
Like,
The dike originally was a dam that a little Dutch boy stuck his finger in to keep his town from flooding.
yeah,
The little Dutch boy stuck his
still
finger
Little
in
finger
what?
or little finger?
But now, but
little Dutch boy.
now it's something that
Stuck his finger in a
gay
dike.
woman sticks her finger in to promote flooding. I mean, what the hell?
Oh boy.
Our language is just getting turned around.
Wow.
All this because we talked about a unicorn.
Too much?
Yep. Yeah,
Wow.
There we
At
go.
least my pineapple's going to be right side up.
Yeah, there you go. There you
Do I
go.
make you horny, baby?
Oh, jeez.
So what do you have for the emerald being May's gemstone? What do you have for that? Can we turn that around any?
Actually, I like emeralds. I'm not a big diamond fan because they're just clear. I like the colored gemstones. I like the emeralds. I like the rubies. I like
Sapphire.
sapphire.
I love
That's the
sapphires.
other one.
Ruby.
Amethyst.
No, amethyst is nice.
that one pink?
Even citrine,
Oh.
which is
Aubergine.
I wonder if they have anything to do
Aubergine.
with the seasons they correlate with. I mean, May typically is a very green month. February, it's so freaking cold outside. You're probably purple if you're out there too long.
Yeah.
Yeah,
about that.
nice. Oh, that's a good point. I never thought about it like that.
September, I don't know. The skies are usually particularly blue.
Yeah.
November's a month where the trees are all that golden and orange, and it's interesting. I've never thought about that.
Neither did I. Because, well,
maybe
obviously
you're
you
right.
must know what each one is. I don't. I have
Yeah,
to
I'm
look
a
at
little-
July is ruby, which
Yeah, I
means
know that
one of my
'cause
kids is
hello.
going to be bright red.
Yep. rubies. I'm thinking about,
Which one's diamond? Is that August?
diamonds are April.
April.
It's an April. That's an April stone.
And October is the most interesting month, which is why it has the most boring gemstone associated with it.
Which is?
Opal.
What is
Opal?
It's an
Opal's
opal.
not.
And actually,
No, opal's
Fire
not- Oh,
opal.
yeah, fire opal.
Oh, fire opals are
they're
different.
beautiful.
though.
Actually,
Yeah,
natural
I
opals
agree.
are beautiful. If
Yes.
if you look at them, they're iridescent under the light.
Yes.
They have a lot of color to them.
Yes, they
I
are.
always thought they were not that interesting. Like
No,
compared to
they're nice.
emeralds
Nope.
and amethysts and rubies.
I think they're the most
sapphires.
interesting
I
one.
still think
Really?
diamond
Yeah, it
is
is.
the
Oh, wow.
least interest.
Yeah.
Yeah, diamonds are boring.
I
Unless
agree.
it's a black diamond or a blood diamond.
A blood diamond.
Yeah,
I'm a woman
the
of
red
particular
ones?
taste.
Uh,
No.
They're like reddish?
No.
What? Okay, everybody's looking at me. This is one of those where it's like, oh, I'm stupid. What's a blood diamond?
Apparently it's all right, so blood diamonds are something that is basically dug up by children apparently.
Okay.
Yeah,
over
and it's a horribly
Africa.
abusive. Yeah, it's a horribly abusive trade. I mean, I was truly saying it very tongue in cheek.
Oh,
Yeah,
in that case, I probably would actually like it because that's me.
bloody.
I'm just a dick.
Oh well.
say dyke. Oh, no.
Wait,
Well,
Like,
technically,
technically.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Little Dutch boy.
So, hey, I didn't say that, folks. That was Doc, but he's not far off. Anyway,
All right, go ahead. What we got?
May 15th
May
kicks off EMS week.
What is it?
Emergency.
Oh, EMS week.
Yeah, EMS.
emergency medical services.
big shout out to our EMS.
Thank you for your
Honestly,
service.
we love you.
Yes,
we
we
know
do.
you don't get paid. If you do get paid, you don't get paid enough. But thank you, and we have just the utmost respect and adoration for
Here,
you
here.
and the
Absolutely.
services that you
Absolutely.
provide to everyone.
Absolutely.
Nice.
And this is Bike to Work Week.
Only,
Yeah,
if you
like
have
that's gonna happen.
only if you have a peddler's license
Oh.
or a maxi.
Or in my case, is I'd have to go on the highway, a death wish. But
Which may lead you to need maxis.
they're just diapers anyway.
In 1718, the world's first machine gun is
Yeah,
patented
Gatlin.
by
right?
a London lawyer, James Puckle.
Puckle?
Puckle.
I
Puckle.
didn't hear that one.
The
Yeah,
Gatlin?
Puckle.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that sounds
Thomas
right.
Gatlin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gatling.
But
Well, he
no,
had
Gatling
a
guns. Gatling
gun.
guns.
it was patented. Maybe that's
Oh,
the
maybe.
key word.
What year?
Yeah, maybe.
1718.
17. Oh, 70. Wow.
Yeah, that's back.
Yeah, that's even before the Gatling gun and way before Maxim.
For course, 7 years
Maxi.
ago.
With no Maxim with his. Oh God, you guys know nothing about weapons.
Not the magazine. Not the magazine. That other thing. Different set of paper.
You guys.
17. There was a machine gun. 17,
Yeah,
18.
that seems off, right?
Yeah.
People's
Because in
willingness to kill one another is
18,
timeless.
I didn't even think they had cartridge
I forget my
firearms
weapon.
yet.
My
I'd have to
my
look.
history.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look that up.
Yeah, find out how true it is then.
Yeah.
See if it's in Snopes or something.
But yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it's just a patent, maybe. Maybe it didn't really
Come into.
maybe.
come
Yeah,
into
yeah.
effect yet. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe it wasn't built yet.
I mean, you can patent ideas for sure.
Yeah,
you just
Yes,
have to prove
yeah.
that they'll work.
Right.
And then if you're really smart, you'll patent the tools that repair that particular idea.
Yeah,
'cause that's how
that's
you
where
make
the-
a lot
Yeah,
of
that's where the money is.
Yeah.
And
Just
please
saying.
read the patent for the loo roll. It goes on the outside.
Yes, it goes over like a normal person. If you put your loo roll under, I want you to know I'm going to come and kick you right in your fanny.
Ouch.
Ouch.
Yes, I meant the British fanny.
Yeah, yeah.
And that would be. And that would be before you use the lube. Not after.
Triple ouch, baby.
You get a good kick in the fanny before you use the loo, and you won't be able to anyway. So it doesn't matter. The swelling will prevent it.
Oh, boy.
There you go.
In 1975 in El Paso, Texas, Fleetwood Mac introduced two new singers, Stevie Nicks and
Hey.
Lindsey Buckingham.
Don't know who that one is.
know.
Don't care.
That was her
either.
husband.
Lindsey
Yeah.
Buckingham.
Oh, the one she hated?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
they had this
Well,
wonderful
eventually,
love-hate
yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
But Lindsey Buckingham was one of the.
He was jealous of her and her success.
Well, she got pretty successful.
Yeah.
She did.
That's for sure. Yeah, Fleetwood
She's
Mac.
much better than some of the other
Imagine
ones I
fumbling
hear.
the bag on Stevie Nicks. Like, where do you go from there?
Yeah.
You just mess up with Stevie Nicks. What do you date? The Taco Bell girl? Like, you may as well just give up at that point.
Amber Heard.
Wow. Full circle.
Amber
She's going to be
Turd.
in debt forever.
Well played.
In 1941, Joe DiMaggio starts a 56-game hitting streak.
Joltin' Joe.
Yeah.
Wow, 56 games. Is that what it was?
crazy.
That's 56 games.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah,
Back
that's
when
really
our athletes were heroes.
Yes.
good. Yeah. Oh, they're heroes now.
Not all of them.
Not all of them.
Back before they needed drugs to do it.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure
Or
they.
performance enhancing.
I'm pretty sure they did
Yeah. They
drugs
just,
then.
it
They
just
they weren't
wasn't-
tested.
Yeah. They just weren't, it wasn't brought to light.
Well, drugs weren't really illegal then.
No, they weren't.
Well, you know.
Right.
Okay.
There was cocaine and coke. You learned that last
Oh, there
week.
was alcohol too.
Yeah,
Babe Ruth. Yeah.
That's who I was thinking of too. He was a better hitter when he was drunk.
Yes, he was. He really was.
Maybe he was wall-eyed.
Maybe. All right. What else we got? Is that it?
That's
That's
it.
good
Okay.
history. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
I did look for Florida Man stuff,
love
just so
Florida
we know,
Man.
but there wasn't anything good for today, believe it or
Oh,
not.
that's all right.
Every once in a while,
We'll get a
everybody in
Yeah.
Florida behaves themselves.
Once in a blue moon.
Very rare.
It's very rare.
Yeah. I still want to move there. Just saying.
He'll be Florida Man.
Yeah. Worrying about me. Oh, just
We're going to find out in a few months,
Wow.
that's for sure, because we are all going down.
should that be a secret
to-
mission?
to-
Should we try to become Florida Man? One of us?
I volunteer.
Look,
Florida
first of
woman.
all, okay, all six
She
of
could be the
us
first
and our
Florida woman.
significant others and or kids or whatever, we are all going to go down to Universal Studios
Yeah.
this year at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And I will be surprised as hell if we don't get kicked out. I got to be honest with you.
I already decided.
I'll
to
actually
be
be
Florida
disappointed if
person.
we don't.
We're not getting kicked out.
I
We
had
kicked
already
it.
decided
Yeah.
that I'm going to be Florida woman, and I
Yeah.
want you guys to know how prepared I am.
Okay.
I have
Okay.
a pair of denim jean
Well, you got a
shorts.
pair, all right.
Yes,
we
I
know
do.
that.
Wow.
But they
got a
have
pair,
the
just wear 'em a
American
little
flag on the ass. Like that. What else could possibly scream Florida?
That,
That's violently Floridian.
That's true.
That is.
That is
Yeah,
so
yeah.
you already have these?
Yeah,
No,
no, I have. I'm prepared.
Gotta
Oh,
go.
The
hell
second I
yeah.
said yes to you, I was like,
yeah.
American shorts. Immediately.
Nice.
Here's looking at your old Americana ass.
Yep.
Nice.
Yep.
It's going to be an interesting trip.
It's going to be so great.
we
I
are gonna
can't
have
wait.
I am
Yeah.
so looking forward to it.
Yeah.
And Petey and I are going down in another week.
Yeah.
Just one of our long weekends down there because we're pass holders. But we are really looking forward
holes.
to the
We
long
went to
one.
the-
Pass holes, yeah.
Pass holes.
Pass
Yeah.
holes.
Bunch of
I'm
pass
surrounded
holes.
by pass holes.
Wait, where's that? I think, yeah, there it is. There it is.
I knew it. I'm surrounded by assholes.
Pass holes.
Yeah.
Pass holes.
All right.
Damn it! I hit the wrong one.
That's weird. Too soon?
Ooh, burn! But deserved. Not gonna lie.
I think that was a dyke moment.
Wow. Wow. I got stabbed.
Stabbed. Oh my God.
She just shanked me.
You're not going to win an Oscar for this. What are you even doing?
I'll slap you.
May as well. I mean, if he's going to report it, he may as well just look like,
I think we'll be seeing stripes in Florida.
stripes and stars.
That'll be on Rebel's pants.
Finally, a legitimate reason for people to salute my ass.
I knew it.
About time.
Yep. There they go.
When we were down there last month, was it?
Yeah,
now?
it was.
Yeah. Go through the gift shops, and of course,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
it's Universal Studios,
Yeah.
they have the little plastic Oscars.
Oh, yeah, right.
You know.
Right. Yep.
And I stood there, and I'm picking them up and picking them up, because I try to see how many people around me I can get to laugh, because that's what I do.
And it's crowded.
And,
'cause it's raining.
it's
and
crowded
full of
because it
people.
happened to be a rainy that afternoon, so everyone's taking shelter in there.
So-
I pick her and I look over. She's like over a couple, like about 20 feet away from me,
Right.
looking at something else. I'm like, honey, I can't find the one that says best bitch slap.
Yeah, it was right
Oh
after.
my God! Everybody, yeah, this was right. This was the week after
I
that
didn't
happened.
hear any laughs.
Oh, I did. I did.
Crickets.
Because everybody thought it was funny, but like was afraid to. They were afraid to enjoy it. Yeah.
Will Smith is considered an actor/comedian, correct?
Yes.
Who on earth is considering that man a
I wouldn't say
comedian?
he was a comedian.
Well,
back in the
a lot of
80s,
his
yes.
movies were funny movies.
Yeah, but
Men in
doesn't make him a
Black,
comedian,
stuff
though.
like. I mean, he's done some
the
serious
Prince of
stuff
Bel-Air,
too.
Wasn't that supposed to be
Well,
comedy?
that was comedy. That was his first acting
yeah.
role. Yeah, and even his songs in the '80s
they
were all
yeah,
they were
that's
campy.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to figure out how being in that genre and having that kind of a lifestyle, you find another comedian standing on stage taking pot shots at somebody who's a public figure, so distasteful. Like everybody's a target.
You're the target. Right.
Everybody
He laughed at first.
Yeah.
He did laugh at first.
Actually-
His wife got mad.
Yeah.
Actually, no, he didn't. So that I looked into that because I was like, wow, that's a real big red flag if that's the case. But that actually happened to not be the case. That was a clip from earlier in the evening, earlier in Chris Rock's set.
Creative
really?
editing.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Yeah, it was edited to look like that
So
for
what-
additional drama, of course.
Sorry.
Of course.
What I honestly think happened there is that Will Smith, I honestly think of him in the same bucket as Johnny Depp. I think he's in an abusive relationship. I don't think his relationship with Jada is very healthy.
No, she's
agree,
openly
'cause
admitted to
she's-
being with other people.
Well, they both
They
have.
opened, yeah.
Right.
First off, they said they had an open marriage, which is fine.
Pineapples.
But who has Will slept with?
Nobody knows.
Nobody
We
that you're
don't
hearing
know.
about.
Yeah.
Right.
Who has Jada slept
Obviously
with?
not Chris
Why do
Rock, or he wouldn't have slapped him.
Maybe he would have.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's publicly
you're right.
publicly
Maybe he likes it a little
acknowledged
rough.
that she's been
Yeah.
with someone else.
Yeah.
She's
Her son's friend.
Her
right.
son's
So
friend.
she's made
Yeah.
that known. Where I think he's kept his stuff on the down low.
She has publicly
Well,
said
he-
that Will did not satisfy her in bed.
She's publicly said that she'd never wanted to marry him in the first
Yeah.
place.
And that her
Really?
grandmother
I
or
didn't
her
know
mother
that
made her walk
stuff.
down the aisle.
I thought she was with
Yeah.
Tupac at one point. Wasn't she with
She
Tupac?
was.
Yeah, she was with Tupac's
was.
girl.
I don't think
She
she
was
was
a drug
actually
dealer.
with him. I don't think she was actually with him. I think she wanted to be
She
with
might
him.
have been the one that shot him.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
I'm just saying. I don't know. I don't know
No.
anything about rap, so I'm just.
Honestly,
They
I'm
used
just
to
shooting
roll
my mouth
together.
off.
Yeah.
They had a
the hay?
relationship wherever.
Okay.
she wasn't
But
even
she
her
admitted
girlfriend.
that they rolled together and they sold
Yeah.
drugs.
Yeah, but
you know.
she wasn't even officially his girlfriend when he died. Some other woman was. But she talks about Tupac like that was the most significant relationship
Yeah.
in her life.
Yeah, yeah.
Which, if it is,
I
that's
never heard
fine.
that myself, but I
your
don't follow
daughter
that
Willow,
crap.
who you had with Will Smith, should not be writing letters to Tupac begging him to come back because your mom is sad.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't
Yeah.
know
See,
that
we
part
learned
either.
stuff
The
on this
levels
show.
and layers of emotional and psychological abuse that Will is going through. In all honesty, yeah, he has a lot of resources, but so does Johnny Depp. We could make the same argument. But sometimes in an abusive relationship, you don't realize how bad it is until other people tell you how bad it is.
Yeah,
You
and-
lose that focus. And they've been married for like 20-something years.
Right. And they're public figures.
Yeah.
And, it's one thing to be humiliated in your day-to-day life privately. It's another thing to have
Yeah,
your...
it's bad
have
enough
these-
privately.
Right.
But
To
the
be
world
humiliated
know.
publicly.
There's
Yeah.
there's a clip online. You check it out, right? So you heard that Dave Chappelle just got tackled.
Yeah.
I saw
Don't
that.
know much
Did you
about
see
it.
right after that? Chris Rock jumps up and he's like, "Is that
Is
Will
that
Smith?"
Will Smith? Well, because they were all trying to
hilarious.
diffuse the situation. Yeah, because he happened to be there that night. And I
That's funny
understand
as
that.
hell,
That's
man.
so
That's
hilarious.
hilarious.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Yeah.
why are we all offended because Jada happened to be the target that night?
I wasn't offended. I don't give a crap.
What's the problem? Is she so thin-skinned after all the years in the limelight that she hasn't realized
who
that
knows?
every person in a public forum
not happy.
it's
Plus
an
the
opportunity
fact-
for that comedian
I
to make their
can-
living?
I
Plus,
can
plus the
understand.
fact nobody knew she had a medical condition
Until she decided to make it public
She just decided
on Red
to
Table
shave her
Talk.
head. A lot of people do that, and that's okay.
And I actually don't think she looks bad without
No,
her
she
hair
doesn't.
either.
Actually, I think she
No.
looks better without the hair, but that's just me.
But the thing is like, I honestly feel like, first off, if you're going to make jokes and you're uncomfortable about it, don't be where a comedian's hosting.
Right. Oh, yeah. That's the first rule number one.
Yeah.
You go to a comedy club to
You're
see
open game.
Yeah,
You're
that's what-
open
yeah.
game. You're
Yes.
signing up for
you,
it by being there.
You sit there.
Yeah.
You kind of like you pay attention to the stage and your drink. You don't do anything that makes you stand up.
Because you're a
The
target.
last thing you ever want to do at a
Is be the
comedy
target.
club is have to get up and pee during somebody's act.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, hell no.
No.
I'll sit there and piss my pants before I do that.
I actually, the first time I went to
Okay.
a comedy club, it was in New York, and New York is notorious, along with Philly, for their comedy clubs. They're
That's
well known.
what's great about
They're
them.
well known. I had to get up, I had to use the bathroom. I come
Oh,
back.
you
the guy
did?
starts giving me
Uh-huh.
some bullshit.
Oh, no.
However,
Yep.
I'm from Jersey, and I don't shut my mouth. I gave him bullshit right back.
And
he
they
stopped
love that.
and
They love that.
He didn't like it.
Oh, he didn't?
No,
Oh,
because the
usually
thing
they
is
do.
if you're going to make comments about my looks, your looks open season, man. You look like a broke ass Wish version of some man who hangs out at Home Depot. You're gonna have to look better than that if you
She
want to insult
wins.
me. Like, first off, if you're looking like something I would drew with my left hand on an Etch-a-Sketch, you're failing.
You win.
The lesson that we learned there is today's not the day, and I'm never the one. I'm just saying.
Today's not the day.
Tomorrow ain't looking good for you either.
It's clouding up tomorrow.
But I mean, that's par for the course. Though. Like, I expected that to be.
Yeah.
Even if
Yeah.
I didn't get up and go to the bathroom or anything,
Yeah.
like I expected at some point he'd pick people out of the audience, and that's fine. But I'm also going to heckle back because I'm an asshole.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
there you go. But now apparently people decide it's like, oh, I don't have to take that. I can do that. No, you can't. Just
Like,
sit
I
there and
gave
take
it back to him, but it was funny.
Right. Exactly.
Well, at least it was funny for you.
Yeah.
Everyone else thought it was
Oh,
funny
I think
too.
I bet
It was
the rest
funnier
of
than
them
the rest of his
yeah.
whole set, man.
And the
I just
grand-
Well,
he
some
failed
of them
his
are
whole
funny
life.
and some of them aren't.
The grand scheme of it, the joke he made about her wasn't even that.
It wasn't
terrible.
even bad.
It
Oh
wasn't
my
even like a
God.
Even if
terrible
she didn't
joke.
have alopecia, she still shaved her head. It was still
Yeah.
G.I. Jane too.
Still
Like
funny.
it was still
Yeah.
funny.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And let's be realistic. Out there in comedic sitcoms, we are now doing black versions of white shows.
Oh yes.
So it wouldn't surprise me if they did a
Right.
G.I. Jane 2 and happened to pick a black woman for the lead.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. Is it that far of a stretch?
No, it's
So
not.
get over yourself.
No, but for him to be banned from the Academy for 10 years, for her to now be considering divorcing him.
Yeah.
Well, she's been looking for an
She's been looking
excuse.
for an excuse. I
Yeah.
agree with that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And him, I don't care.
He
You've been
should-
in the business long enough. You need to learn to control yourself. You don't lose your shit like that.
Honestly, and here's where I disagree with
He
that.
should have been escorted out right then and there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Done. Boom. Done. I don't care who you are. I don't care that we're about to hand you a freaking statue in 20
Did
minutes.
they
Guess
take
what?
that back?
No, they should
did.
have.
Yeah, I think
They
Yeah.
should have.
Let us take you
They should
outside and
have.
diffuse the situation. And when you've got yourself calmed back down, you can go back and listen. He's a comedian. This is what he does for a living. You shouldn't be offended.
That was
security
assault.
should have
That
stormed
was
the
that-
stage and tackled them.
Yep.
And taken them outside.
He shouldn't have done that overall, but listening to how him and Jada's relationship goes, I get why he lost his shit. Because I can tell you personally, abusive people can push you into places you never thought you would
Yeah, I
be.
That's
agree.
what I
I- no,
remember
that's
telling
agreed.
You
you.
never
you
like
did.
there was stuff I yelled at, like I'm very open about my previous abusive relationship. There was stuff I said to him that I would be horrified to ever say to anyone else. But I said it to him and I meant it with my whole chest. Because when you have somebody who's pushing your buttons 24/7, embarrassing you everywhere, saying stuff, constantly abusing you, you never know what to expect. You just get to a point where you would never ordinarily get that way if you were in a healthy environment.
Right. Right.
The only thing it made me do is never want to watch another Will Smith movie.
Well, you're
That's
not
what I
missing
took
out on
away from
anything
it,
good.
Yeah, it's
The
not a
whole
big
thing,
deal.
I just don't even care about. I just don't want to be bothered. So that's
Yeah.
the end of Will Smith for me. Not even because he did it.
Well,
just because I just don't care.
two things that he had coming up, and one was already well into production.
All right.
They
Got
canceled,
canned.
right?
Yeah, he's canceled.
Yeah, and another one that was about to start, they said, "Yep, no."
Yeah.
So
Well, he was
Because-
going around the world like doing these crazy.
that,
some
and,
people
and,
Discovery.
and a lot of
Yeah.
those had
Discover.
already been filmed,
Right,
but
yeah.
they're like, oh
that's it.
well,
End
even
of
though
view.
we're halfway through it, done.
In the 1970s, Marlon Brando was to receive an award, and he had a Native American woman go up and read a letter.
I kind of
Yeah.
yeah,
It was
yeah,
in the
I
70s.
kinda remember that.
And
A letter about what?
how the Native Americans are portrayed.
Oh, okay.
John Wayne looked like he was going to roll over and stab her right on the stage. The security team told her if she read that letter out loud, she would be arrested, and she read it anyway. So I don't see the difference. The Academy Committee did not ban Marlon Brando. for letting her do that. Why are they punishing him like that?
Well, he slapped him.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, a little
It's
different.
actual assault
Yeah.
is a little bit
It's a little
different than
There's
just
actual like crime that.
Yeah,
committed.
that's actually technically that actually is a crime.
Right.
Well, it was a crime for that woman to do what she did.
Not really, no.
Oh yeah, they arrested. They were. I think they arrested her.
But really,
Oh,
for
for
what
what,
though?
I'm trying to think what the charge was.
Let's
Yeah,
face
we'll
it
have to
though,
check it out.
assault is an
Assault
actual
is a-
crime.
yeah.
As
I feel
opposed
like
to
assault
anything
is a
else.
very different bucket than reading a letter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, you want to think about the difference in broadcasting now and how many people are actually watching what's going on.
Yeah.
I mean, that was seen by millions of people.
But the funny thing is, it was seen by millions of people after the fact because
On
nobody
YouTube.
actually watched the damn award show anymore. Nobody
Right.
gives.
Exactly.
They see on the news that this happened, and now all of a sudden they go back and
Yeah.
go, "Oh, let
Yeah.
me see that."
Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm not phased by it one way or the other because
Yeah, me neither.
it doesn't
I don't
affect
give a-
my
yeah.
day.
Right. Exactly.
Yep.
I think it actually lends itself to a very interesting conversation about male abuse victims. Because I feel like there's not a lot of dialogue about that, even though that's a very real thing.
It's very
I've
real.
known male victims of domestic violence, and you know what? They can't really do anything because what are they going to do?
Yeah.
If they defend themselves, she's going to call the cops. He's going to get arrested
Right.
automatically.
Right. That's exactly it. Oh, you
Been
go
there.
ahead. You go ahead and tell him that you got beat up by a girl. You go
Yeah.
ahead and tell him that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
That's
you
a
know,
very Amber
Right.
quote right
Yeah.
there.
yeah, it
Yeah.
is. That's a pretty shitty attitude, you know.
Jeez. Yeah.
Well, now that we've
Yeah.
set the
Now
stage,
that's a good
No.
now that we've
intro.
set the
Absolutely.
stage with some
Great.
dark stuff,
Yeah.
let's get into the.
To the gravy.
Yeah, let's
the
address
meat.
the
We've had the
elephant
gravy, we're
in
gonna
the
have the
room,
meat.
and thank God my sister's not actually here.
Wow.
But
More pachyderms everywhere.
There wouldn't be room for anyone else.
Wow.
it really wouldn't.
Wow.
Baby's got back.
And some.
Baby's got
And
back and front and
everything
sides.
else, right?
Poor girl.
Nobody
could
can
try
put
out
that
for-
baby in the corner.
Just reminds me of a childhood
Nobody
song.
She'll be in two
Nobody
corners.
puts baby in the corner because she won't fit.
Right, exactly.
I'm
Just reminds me
surprised.
of a childhood song. Catalina, Madalena, whoops side, Hoka Poka Woka was her name. She had two hips like battleships. One stayed home while the other took trips.
Oh my God.
I don't know that one, but I like it.
Could
Oh
be
my
could be
God.
the first time I've heard that one. That's a first.
Is that from your dad? Is that one of those?
I'm surprised that she didn't leave Texas to go to Disney and apply for Jabba the Hutt positions.
Wow.
Oh, you know what? Good point. Good point. Yeah.
This poor lady.
Maybe that's the only
Anyway.
reason Florida hasn't
You've
sunk
never
yet
met
into
her.
the
We can
ocean
introduce
yet.
you.
No,
No,
I'm
she's
okay.
horrible.
I'm
Really,
okay.
honestly, you're not missing out on anything. Like I met her, not a pleasant experience.
No, and here's the plus with a woman like that though. You get tired of the same
Plus-
old piece.
plus
you can
size.
pull up a new wrinkle.
Wow.
Oh.
Somebody get the cornstarch.
Oh, jeez.
Wow.
Pull
tell
them
I
in
didn't
flour
have a-
and look for the wet spot.
See, I'm not the only one who says it.
Nope.
No, you're not.
Oh my lord.
Uh-huh.
Oh, Malanta. Where does that come from? I heard that a lot
Malanta.
recently.
From a Malanta commercial.
Malanta.
Yeah.
Back in
Malanta.
the early 80s.
Yep, 80s.
Yeah.
Which goes along
Oh,
with,
Malanta.
are you going to the store, Doris? Could you pick me up some X-Lax?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Back when commercials were fun.
Oh my lord.
Oh, Malanta.
Yeah. I used to date a girl back in my teenage.
Oh,
She
you
would-
did?
Yeah, once upon a time.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
God, because I was starting to worry about you.
Yeah,
What
this-
kind of
well, this
dinosaur
was a
did you
long-
ride on to pick her up?
You know what?
Was it a brontosaurus?
Was it an actual girl?
It was a girl.
Whoa.
Well, back
Okay.
then it was just girl.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Back then,
Back then
blow
there
up
were-
dolls.
girls
the
were
lines were
girls.
clearly defined.
Yeah. Yeah. And she used to say that all the time. Oh, my Lanta, after everything. And I was like, we have to break up.
After everything?
Not after everything.
Everything?
Oh
my Lanta?
Oh my Lanta.
Yeah.
Couldn't have been that good.
Abysmal.
You know, this is why I don't share stories.
I think I've got an upset stomach. Oh my Lanta.
And there's an example of why I don't say. Yeah. So, yeah. So that happened. Yeah. Anyway, the phrase got annoying.
You think that phrase is annoying? Here's a
I do.
phrase for you that's really going to be annoying. And this is what we actually came here for.
Okay.
Roe versus Wade.
Yeah. Yeah, here we
Right.
are.
On your mark, get set,
Go.
Go.
No.
It's bullshit.
Wow.
No man should ever have the right to tell a woman what to do with her body.
All right,
Actually,
so let's
I think, wait. I think we should structure this in a different way because I
exactly.
feel like let's begin first
By the way,
setting
listeners,
the stage.
welcome to the biggest left turn you were ever caught.
Welcome. Hope you guys got some better health insurance for that whiplash. Anyway, what I want to do first is I want to start
Set it up.
with, let's go around. We'll start with the Madmen and say if we're in favor or not in favor of Roe versus Wade.
Before you do that, let's bring everyone up to maybe the people don't know what's happening.
Oh, welcome
Yes.
to
So,
America, where
yeah.
every day is a fresh new bullshit hell.
Well, some people don't watch the
Thank
news
you, Joe.
like me.
When was Roe versus Wade established?
1973, I think.
73.
Okay, so-
and
The
that
same
did
year,
what?
actually, believe it or not, you and I met.
Yes. So we're talking,
50 years,
50
almost.
years
It's their
of women
fault.
having
Just
the
shy of 50
opportunity to
years.
choose.
So I think that's very important to touch on. It's not the opportunity to choose, because that was always controlled at the state level, but it was always fought with the fact that it is a constitutional right. Roe versus Wade enabled for women to have the freedom of choice.
It's not really a constitutional right, though. You
It
will not
should be.
find that anywhere in the Constitution.
Agreed.
Correct.
But it was
And that's the thing. People are saying that, it's a constitutional right, and that is wrong. It is not.
I actually think it is, but I think it's covered under
No.
health, happiness, and the pursuit of happiness.
That's not the Constitution.
I'm
a
going
Bill of
to
Rights.
Get your documents
Oh, that's
right.
a Bill of Rights. Yeah,
Bill of
yeah,
Rights.
yeah.
No, it's not the Bill of Rights either.
No, what is it?
It's the
The
preamble.
Declaration of
Independence.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
That all men are created equal. Yeah. Trying to.
Unalienable.
God, I
rights.
sound like Biden now. Holy crap! I can't remember what I wanted to say,
What's
but it's
really
just
fun is that women aren't mentioned in any of those documents, so I'm assuming all the rules
that
don't
among
apply
these
to us.
are these the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yep.
All men are created equal and endowed by their Creator
With
with certain
certain
unalienable
unalienable
rights. That among these are the rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Yep.
That was in order to break away from England and the King and form our own
Correct.
country.
Yeah.
All right. That is not the Constitution.
Right. So
No, but it is the plan that our forefathers set forth
Yes,
for people.
absolutely.
Yeah.
For the people of the United States.
Absolutely.
It was why we broke free from England.
Yes.
So that we could pursue our own lives.
Yeah.
So we didn't live under England's rule.
Correct.
That we would get to decide
No
for.
taxation without representation, which is why half the people in Congress should no longer be in Congress. Those absolute clowns do not represent any of us.
Oh, God, no.
If you think they do, try talking to them. They have no idea what it's like to be
because
you
most of
or
them
me.
have been there before our parents were there.
We
so
need term limits. We need
term limits.
age limits. There is no reason why somebody who's 80-something years old should be making any laws that they're not going to have the seedy effects of.
Exactly.
And there's no reason for our representatives to live a lifestyle that none of us are privy to.
Exactly.
None. You shouldn't live better than your
You should
constituents.
not be getting your
No.
salary
No.
for the rest of your life.
No, absolutely not. When you stop working your job, are they going to continue to pay you?
No.
Well,
No.
then
They
we
do.
shouldn't continue
Yep.
to pay those who represent us either.
I
Whether
bet
they
that would fix
represent
the
us
deficit.
big time. That, a couple of other things, but that'll be another argument.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
we'll do that one.
But to
We'll-
get back
we're
to
gonna
Roe
get
v. Wade.
specific, yeah.
What happened Monday, I believe it was, in America, again, a capitalist hellscape from which we are all subject to torture in different forms, was a document was leaked from the Supreme Court. Now, it's important to note it wasn't the first Supreme Court leak, but it is very rare. It is a big deal. Indicating that the court in June, in their next term, would overturn Roe v. Wade, which establishes a federal right for women to have abortion as health care. It is a big deal because, as we've seen in numerous other countries and in numerous other states, the right to an abortion, whether or not that is enacted in law, does not prevent women from getting abortions. It only prevents women from getting safe and legal abortions. In addition to that, many states are on the back of that, enacting laws that would make miscarriages or ectopic pregnancies illegal. They're enacting laws that would force 13-year-olds who were victims of rape, or anyone of any age who were victims of rape or incest, into having their pregnancies, regardless of what it may actually do for them, while conveniently not providing medical health care or any federal funding for those children once they're born. So that's super fun. How are y'all doing? Anyone want to adopt me?
I already adopted you.
Let's go someplace else. We have France. We can live in France. We can also live in Italy.
What's it like in France?
All right. Well, you know what?
Let's
She just used a term.
France.
Now, and this is one of those things. She just used a term there that is completely mine. Anyone want to adopt me? Every single one of you people here around this table know that I am what?
Adopted.
Thank you. Had this been a problem, had this been, that right and everything back when I was conceived,
You may not be here.
I wouldn't even be
wouldn't
here.
be here.
All right? So now that doesn't mean that I'm necessarily absolutely pro-life, which I am, although I understand rape, incest,
Right.
Medical problems,
Right.
stuff like that. Look, you got to favor the woman's life because she's the one that's here. All right. If there's some, and I agree with that. I don't agree with the fact that abortion is used as a form of birth control, though. I don't agree with that.
I don't think there's anyone.
Stop. Let me finish.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, and then you go. All right. So believe me, if anybody knows what's going on here, it's me. I wouldn't even be here. We wouldn't be sitting around this table. You guys would not have the privilege and the honor of knowing me as you do.
It is both that privilege and honor.
It really is.
It really
no
is.
sarcasm,
But I was
it
just,
really
but
is.
I was just being. I was
it really
trying to
is.
pat myself on the back, but at my age, my arm doesn't reach back there anymore. Anyway, but so I'm fortunate that because at this day and age, I wouldn't exist. I
Perhaps.
wouldn't. I
That's
wouldn't even be given the
chance.
choice
No,
because I
you're-
technically was an unwanted pregnancy.
Right.
But your mother may have chose to keep you based on her upbringing, her religious beliefs. She
it's
may
possible.
have chosen to carry you and put
It's-
you up for
and-
adoption
and,
anyway.
And that still happens. Don't get me wrong.
And it
Absolutely.
does. It absolutely
but
does.
there's also a chance that it's like, oh, good, I can just be done with this too. We don't know which way that would have gone. I mean, I don't because I don't know anything about
I don't
her.
think there's anybody who's. Oh yeah, abortion is birth control.
Oh, I disagree.
No, I disagree.
I really think there's some
I
people who
disagree.
happen for life.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'm
Why do you think
genuinely
they have that
surprised.
day after pill?
The
That's
day
not
after
an abortion.
Yeah, the day
Oh
after
my
pill
God.
just
Yeah.
prevents
Yeah.
that. Just
That is
prevents
not an abortion.
That just prevents anything from happening. What that if you should happen to fertilize the egg, it never gets the opportunity to implant.
Yeah.
So I don't see it as an abortion.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I see. I don't know
Medically
enough about
speaking,
that.
That's an entirely different thing.
Okay.
Right.
All right. And I accept that. That's fine. That's fine.
My problem with the whole wanting to overturn it is that most of the people who are making these decisions are men. They've never been pregnant. They
never
don't know
will
what
be.
it's like to carry a child, to have to deal with morning sickness, weight gain, medical complications. I mean, the list is
I've
endless.
been dealing with weight gain most of my life.
Well, yes, and you do anytime I can see.
Wow. Apple actually just came out with a new emoji just for me.
Wow.
Yeah, now those pussies are calling it like the pregnant man thing. I call it the 10 minutes after Thanksgiving dinner emoji.
There we go.
Because it's the same thing. You'll see me with my hand on my belly like this going, oh, God damn, that was good. Oh.
I read something
anyway.
very interesting in regards to this, and I thought it was like a boom moment for me. A woman can have sex with 100 men, and if she gets pregnant while having sex with one of these men, in a year's time, a woman can only carry to term and deliver one baby in a year's time, no matter how many sexual partners she's had in that year.
Right.
A man can sleep with 100 women and inseminate and impregnate 100 women.
Yeah.
So why are we addressing women in regards to child, having babies, raising babies, becoming impregnated, and instead of talking to the men, why don't we put some restrictions on what a man can do?
They never will.
No,
They never will.
no, because men run our country.
This country does not like women.
But I don't believe anybody has the right to tell a woman what she can or cannot do with her
and
body.
I agree with
don't
that.
think-
I agree
don't
with
think-
that, too.
I don't think you get the right to do that. I've got a house full of girls,
Yep.
and if one of them came home and told me they were pregnant and it was not an opportune moment for them and they had been cautious and careful and done the things that they were taught to do, and they chose not to have a pregnancy, I would totally support termination. I would not promote it a second round, though. I will tell you that. I'm pro-choice to a point. I don't want abortion to be used as a means of birth control.
That's my
So-
stand.
Ever.
So here's
That's
my
stand.
question. So say a baby is born. Abortion is not used. This baby is born through force of state or force of law through whatever means. Who's going to be financially responsible for this baby?
You are.
What's going to happen to this baby if it's raised by parents who don't want it? Because I can tell you firsthand what kind of shitstorm that is.
Right,
And
exactly.
I would never wish that on anyone.
Absolutely not. And they'll say, well, then why don't you give that baby up for adoption? Well, that sometimes is an easier thing to say than do also.
Yeah.
Now you've carried this child to term. You've got some kind of attachment to it. Even if it's not a normal attachment or a healthy attachment, it's still your child. You've been made
Not
to
only
carry
that,
it
but
and
how
give birth to
expensive
it.
is it to adopt a baby within the United? There's a reason couples pay thousands of dollars to adopt babies in China,
Right.
Because it is a much more friendly and easy process than it is within the United States.
Oh, absolutely. You want
so
to
it's easy to say like, oh, we'll just adopt it out. Okay, great.
Yeah.
How?
How am I doing that? And people want babies. They don't want older kids most of the time. They want babies.
Yeah.
But our system is so screwed up in regards to how that happens and all the paperwork and all. I mean, try fostering a child and see what they put you through. They
Oh,
want to know
yeah.
everything up to how many times a day you take a dump.
Yeah.
I mean, financial records, background checks, fingerprints. I mean, it is in depth. And I get it with the abuse that goes out there. They need to do background checks and stuff.
Yeah.
But do you need to know every aspect of my life in
That
order
is
for me
the
to take
one
on
thing
a
that's
child?
keeping me from being a foster parent.
Yeah, they want to know
Straight
everything
up.
about you.
Because I looked into it, because I genuinely, I do want to not necessarily give birth to more children. I don't think my body could handle that. In all honesty, it would be a life or death situation for me, for sure. But I do want to care for more children. And with how many children are available for adoption and for fostering and everything, it's much easier to adopt a child once you fostered that child. So I looked into foster care, but it's so invasive. And
yeah.
I get on some level, I get some of the questions like background checks. That makes sense.
Yeah.
You should ask my neighbors. You should ask my
Sure.
friends what kind of a person I am. Am I hanging out with pedophiles? Because that's relevant. But, all the different weird stuff that they want to know is
If you
absolutely.
own a firearm, they take you off the list. It's like,
Yeah.
really? Now,
Yeah.
see, that's just it. I would want somebody that owns a firearm because I know that they're going to do what they can to protect that child.
But I can't.
That's the way I look at
Yeah.
it. But that's
But every
see,
time
I
Dick and
can't-
Harry can have a baby,
Yeah.
and you don't have to have any qualifications to have a child.
No.
But if you want to adopt one, they run you through the ringer.
Also,
Yeah.
there's no sexual education in the majority of schools throughout the United States. I honestly firmly believe that if more people were informed about how their body works on a medical, scientific level, because I do not believe that religion should have any function at all in publicly funded schools, that they would be able to be empowered to make better choices.
Right.
It's proven time and time again that in schools that have comprehensive sex education, the birth rate for that area drops in teenagers.
Right.
Is there no public education on sex ed?
It depends
in
on the
every
school.
And-
It depends
and
on the
in-
school.
and in
most
poverty- and in
schools,
poverty-
abstinence only is what's promoted.
and unfortunately, right now they're more worried about teaching you all the different possible genders
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
than they are about actual sex education.
Yeah, and in poverty
And that has
stricken
nothing to
areas,
do with it.
sex education is significantly less than, let's say, the areas that we live in.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
In
Not
order
only-
to receive federal funding, the school has to provide abstinence-only education. They stick it in a drawer, wait till after the midterms, and they also require that the women work 32 hours a week in order to get welfare. They have a work requirement. Otherwise, that state does not get the money.
What is the point of forcing women to have children that are not wanted and that cannot be provided for?
Right.
Just because you're saving a life doesn't mean you're providing for that life, especially if you're unwilling to vote in favor of better education, more money within the schools, federally protected maternity leave, things that other evolved countries have.
Right. If you leave the United States and you look at how they handle things, France is a fine example.
Germany, Norway.
How do
Dutch.
they handle
Maternity leave for both fathers and mother.
They
you
have
know,
paternity leave.
yeah,
too.
Yeah.
They
do.
want you to stay home and bond with your children
Yes.
and teach
They
your
don't
children.
have it federally protected here.
Yeah.
Not protect. They do have it, but
I mean,
It's not federally protected though.
other,
Without
coun-
those
those
federal-
other
other
countries
countries it
offer
is.
much.
those other
Maternity
countries-
leave is, but paternity leave is just
Maternity
starting to come
leave is
up.
only
It's just here
protected
it is.
if you've been at your job for over a year, and you do not have to be paid for any of that time. For most families in America who live paycheck to paycheck, they can't afford that.
Nope.
If this country wants to promote a forced birth policy, which is firmly what I believe this is, it needs to provide some supplemental support to the people giving birth.
Yeah,
to
and
the
you want
families.
and you want to talk about things like, okay, so now you don't have maternity or paternity leave. They're
Yeah.
not going to pay you for your time off. You
Yeah.
have to go back to work when your infant is a week or two old.
I couldn't imagine doing that.
Do you know what they get a month for child care in this area for
Oh my God.
one newborn?
$6,000.
$1,200 a
week.
month.
Oh, a month.
A month. $1,200 a month right now. That's for a 40-hour work week. 4 weeks out of the month or 4.5 weeks out of the month.
Right.
$1,200 a month is the average. It can go up from there. That's about the norm. That's a lot of money. Most people don't bring home a whole lot more than that, you know, when you're in your young years.
Yeah.
You know, and you're working, and the people that are coming home pregnant early in life are working in places like McDonald's. Do you think they have $1,200 a month to put out for childcare so they can maintain their jobs?
And even if you're going to take the stance of, well, they should keep their legs closed, rape happens. Rape is a constant threat when you're a woman. I remember being as old as 10 being taught to hold keys between my fingers.
In
And
case
it's-
somebody came at you
Yeah.
and wanted to
it's
be inappropriate with you.
It's rarely appropriately prosecuted. Look at that Brooks Turner case. Is that the name of the kid? The swimmer who got the most lenient sentence ever for raping a woman?
Yep.
Because he had a fine future. What about her future?
Yeah, you totally
Women are
destroyed her.
Yeah. Women are consistently viewed as an appropriate casualty for all of men's stuff.
Yeah, for their garbage.
For war,
their
for
bullshit.
things like that. Yeah. It's not every man, sure, but it's enough of them where, you know, I think if for any man who has a daughter, you're aware of how big of a threat this is and how big of a problem it is.
Yes, and when and where do we address men being responsible for their own sexuality? You know, if you don't want children, what are you going to do?
If you don't get food stamps at the point of conception, if you're not getting child support at the point of conception, how much does that really count as life? And the reality is it's impossible to police people's behavior on that singular individual level. But the reality is time and time again, women are constantly punished for it, whereas men are not.
Correct.
And that is my problem.
Correct.
They're making it federally a federal offense for women to have abortions.
No, I don't
No,
think that's
They are in Texas. In Texas.
Yeah, it goes to the state.
Yeah.
It'll go to the state to decide. It goes to the states will decide what the issues will be, what they'll do. So if you are living in the Bible Belt, for instance, I don't think it's right to force people living in the Bible Belt who do not believe in abortion to have it and it be mandated on them. Religiously, a lot of people out there don't believe in abortion, and I don't think it's right to force them.
I don't think anybody should be forced one way or the other.
I don't either.
I think if you come,
So I think if it
come
goes
home,
to the states, the people decide.
yeah, if you come home pregnant and that's not what you want, and you don't have another option, and that's what you choose, that's your decision, and that's something you get to live with.
But they're looking at punishing women for going to other states to seek abortion health care.
They're punishing the
I
Uber
don't
driver
think so.
for going outside
Yeah.
of Texas.
It's nuts.
And so we'll go back to the backstreet clinics where people are
To the coat hangers.
Yep, to the coat hangers and the secondary health care or, procedures being done in secret with, minimal access to
Anything
cleanly.
Yeah.
And we're going to end up with young women having
Yep.
really severe infections, not being able to conceive when they want to.
Yep.
I mean, I get it. But the truth of the matter is this all starts at a ground level. Your parents need to teach you about how to be sexually responsible. And if you don't have parents that teach you how to be sexually responsible, then like you said, it should be taught in our schools.
And that should be federally mandated.
Right.
Regardless of someone's religious beliefs, I don't care. This country isn't Christian.
this country's really messed up.
This country doesn't need to have the Bible enforced on it. We left England and formed our own country deliberately
So
to
people
have
could
freedom
choose.
of religion.
Right.
Religious anything should never be a consideration when making laws for the people of this country.
I don't know about if this country was formed on freedom
It was.
Freedom of religion is one of our-
religion. I mean, it's freedom of religion, but not freedom from
not
religion,
from, right.
because all of our stuff still says "In God We Trust."
It shouldn't, and it didn't for the
Okay.
longest time.
Well, our ethics and values are taught from they come from our families.
I mean, freedom of religion. You can be whatever religion or lack thereof as you want, and that's fine. But this country was founded because it was under the all-seeing eye of God. You guys do whatever you want, but just remember, God's watching. Now, whether you believe in that or not, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter to me one way or the other. But freedom from religion doesn't mean freedom, or freedom of religion doesn't mean freedom from religion necessarily like that.
I personally don't know any women who would go through the process of abortion and willingly put themselves in the position to have a second one. I don't know very many women who would intentionally put themselves in that position. It's a very, very, very difficult thing to
It
go
is.
through. It's physically painful. It's mentally painful. It's emotionally painful. I mean, ask a woman who's lost a child. You know, from the day we find out we've conceived a child, we have ideas and thoughts and hopes for what this child will become. And we attach ourselves to those ideas. And when that baby doesn't make it, we end up in a very, very bad place emotionally. It's a very, very difficult thing to work through.
Absolutely.
So my point of view is that you wouldn't make the decision to have an abortion lightly, and we should not be penalized for being in that position. We should be able to pick and choose and decide for ourselves, and men should not have anything to say about it.
Agreed.
And you know, even our parents shouldn't have anything to say about it.
Agreed.
You know, if you have a relationship with somebody, they might have some say-so in it, but the bottom line is that you're the person that's going to end up with the bulk of the responsibility. You, the mother, is going to end up with the bulk of the responsibility. And so you, the mother, should be the person that's capable of making
And
that
I
decision.
actually do agree with that. But
I don't.
Hang
And
on.
I'll tell you in a second.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm going to get to you in a minute because I
you
I
are
know
the
you.
exception, Michael. You are not the rule.
All right, but here's the thing that I'm curious about. I have no problem with it that way. You have to. There's got to be a time limit where you need to decide before a certain point.
Oh, yes.
And
Yeah.
after that, you know,
Well,
it's
after
like
a certain point, it becomes very problematic for the mother as well.
correct. I mean, look at that Northam guy back, you know, a year ago. He came right out and said, "Well, you know, it's if you know it gets to that point, well, then the mother will give birth. The baby will be made comfortable while a discussion ensues upon what we're supposed to do with it." Well, at that point, there's no discussion.
No, because now it's a baby.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I believe that it's a baby slightly before that.
Oh, yes.
All right. So you need to come up with a specific, here's your timeline. You have to decide before this.
I like the 12 weeks rule.
I don't.
No? Okay.
No, but I want Doc to go because
All right. Doc, go ahead.
I don't even know where to start.
No, please. That's why
beginning.
we're discussing this.
Okay, so let's jump back. All right, so
Okay, real quick. I'm not necessarily in favor of abortion. I'm not in favor of not. Every situation is different.
okay,
But still, at the same time, you have to gauge when it becomes a difference between abortion and a murder.
Here's where okay, that's where religion comes into
Right.
it. As far as okay, the majority of this entire issue is when does life begin? That's the fundamental issue here, and that why the Bible Belt or the religious impact on it is And this is why they teach no sex before marriage, and it's a very sacred union. And where life begins is the fundamental reason. Okay, there's so many, like, I don't even know how to lay this out. So if you don't believe life begins at conception, that opens your choices up to a million different things, right? If you think life begins at conception, your view becomes very narrow, right?
Yes.
Okay, so the people, and rape plays into it, and the people that want children and don't want children, you know, there's so many things that go into it, but it boils down to, when do you believe life begins? Okay, so for me, it's different than for you, obviously, right? So
Yeah, absolutely.
I respect everyone's opinion. I'm not saying anything, right? So your opinion and my opinion, totally different.
Agreed.
Right? So the problem that you have, and I wouldn't be, just like you said, you wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be a father either if the choice was just on my son's mother. If I had no say in that, I'm not a dad today. If she tells me, "Oh, I don't care what you say, it's my body and I'm doing what I want," nah, man, I'm in jail right now.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. So it's different for, I get the woman's side. Listen, I've been in hundreds of debates about rape, about when life begins, and why church should not be involved in a government. I get it, right? So if you believe life begins at conception, your view is definitely one way. If you believe it doesn't begin until they come out and take a breath, your belief is a total different way. If you believe it's somewhere in between, 12 weeks, whatever, your views are totally different.
So
right?
my question is this. You said it comes down to a religious matter when you believe life begins.
I believe the religious side of it is tied to when life begins, yes.
Okay.
So
For you, that's
for
how
you,
you
and that's
feel.
fine.
fundamental
And-
religion
right?
in general.
Yes,
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying, and I agree with that point of view.
Right.
Also, but let me ask you,
Sure.
when you found out she was pregnant, were
Yep.
you there? Were you supportive?
1,000%.
See?
I didn't even think it was mine, and I was there.
Because
I
there
took
was
care
the
of it
possibility, right?
Yeah, of course there's a possibility.
And so you decided that you were going to play your odds, and if
Correct.
that's the fact, then you were going to do what you needed to do.
Correct.
But for a lot of women, that's not even an option. You're just pregnant. They find out you're pregnant. They jump
bounce.
ship.
Oh, yeah.
And there
Oh,
you are.
I-
You're
That's
left
on the
holding the
guy.
bag.
Yeah,
Absolutely,
And you-
that's
sure.
on the guy, without
But
a
let me
doubt.
ask you this. Is that the baby's fault?
No, it's not the baby's
Okay.
fault. But
So-
let's say you've got
Should it
two
be the
other kids
mother's?
at home, and you're struggling to make ends meet,
I
and
get
this
it.
man
I
that you
get it.
love dearly, that you gave yourself
Bounced.
to,
I get it.
left. Now you've got two kids that you're struggling to feed, and you're going to add a
Right.
third to the pile. When do we break the camel's back? So rather than bring a child into the world that she can't afford to feed or clothe or house or take care of, she chose not to have that child because the father wasn't there and he wasn't reliable.
So here's my question
It's
to you,
a lot.
doctor. You're pro-life.
I am.
Yeah. Okay. Are you also pro-paid maternity leave?
Yeah.
Are you pro-paid food stamps for people of low
absolutely,
income?
Sure.
Okay. Are you pro-appropriate sex education?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So you know what? To be
but
all,
there's arguments for that either because listen,
appropriate?
I mean, there's
right,
arguments for
exactly.
everything. I'm not
Right.
asking what the
Yeah,
arguments
yeah.
are. I'm just asking
I
personally,
mean, there's
so I can kind of
people-
understand where
yeah,
you're
yeah.
coming from.
Right, yeah.
Okay.
I'm pro all that.
Yeah.
All right. So listen, if I'm gonna go jump into a tank full with sharks, and I know the possibility is it's gonna bite my arm off, right? I prepare a different way.
I would
So-
walk into a
He
tank
would
full
never,
of sharks
by the
before
way,
I would walk
just
into
so
a
you
room
know,
full
he would
of men.
never jump into a tank of
Straight up.
sharks because he's
No.
really afraid of sharks.
I'm terrified of sharks.
I would walk,
However,
I would jump into a tank full of sharks
If you
before I
sing
would ever
Baby
go into
Shark
a room
right
full of
now,
men.
he'll start to cry.
But how, do I know if that's a possibility? If I jump into that tank, that I could lose my limb? Yeah,
Right, yeah.
That's
You
why,
know what you're going into.
right? So
Yes.
that opens up so many more difficulties and issues for me, knowingly walking into that tank.
Okay.
Right. So that's where the religious side, if I'm going to take a religious side, that's where your no sex before marriage, no, right? So I'm just saying. I have a kid, like
you didn't abide by that, clearly.
Right, hey, so
here's my question to you then. In say that there's a law enacted, life begins at conception. What about for women who are raped? Say that I'm raped. and I get pregnant as a result of that rape.
I understand.
Will I be forced to deal with my rapist? Will I be forced to share custody of what could potentially be a daughter with someone who I know is a rapist?
I understand, but I also take the side of the baby that has no voice.
But how are we protecting that baby if we're forcing that woman to share custody?
That's a whole other
But it's a
thing.
consideration.
It
though.
is a consideration.
In all honesty,
but it's
it is.
I get it.
Oh, it's definitely not a black and white issue. It's
No, of course not. Yeah.
It's
reality is there's no one universal right answer.
This issue
No.
is never going to be resolved as
No.
far like
It'll
no
be a fight
matter
forever.
what that court
Yeah.
ruling is, people are going to be on one side of this or the other.
So
Yeah.
can we back this up a little bit?
Yeah.
How did this happen? How did this?
What do you mean?
Dobbs versus Jackson out of Texas.
Way back.
No. This is the current case.
No,
That's
no,
what I
she's
mean, like-
asking way back.
No, I'm asking
Oh.
how this came about because
Oh,
a week ago, how it's been brought back up.
Yes,
how
it's
coming
right
this
back
case
up.
has
I
been
don't
settled
even-
since
I don't even know.
1970.
Yeah.
This has
Dobbs
been
versus Jackson.
That's what brought
1973. This
back
has
up.
been a solved issue, and
But-
now all of a sudden
well,
it's a
but
problem.
Madman said something got leaked out that's saying it's going to get overturned. So
No,
I
I
don't
said
even,
that
Oh,
actually.
I'm sorry.
No,
well, I don't know that. I don't
well,
even know what
It is a
we're talking
possibility
about.
because, and this is where I disagree with the ladies. Judge Blackburn
Right.
wrote the opinion for Roe versus Wade, and there were no women on the court at that time.
Right. Correct.
This is, and I've been reading about this. The law comes up as very simple, and you and I have had this conversation. Judicial rulings should not be based on personal ideology, because what happens is, and you know this better than I do, you go to Drury, to the doctor, to the father, to Casey, to undue burden, to equal protection.
Right.
The 14th Amendment, I will hang my hat on. It is a medical condition. You and I can argue the difference between conception versus viability. And this is where they take in, you know, the same things that, you know, we don't commit capital offenses
Right.
on the Sabbath. If the child cannot survive outside the womb, there is no viability. So the argument currently is Mississippi's 15-week limit.
Stating that what? Before 15 weeks?
That it's fine.
That
After
it's okay.
15 weeks, it's not.
Okay.
So the argument is not going to be, it's about viability. I have a problem with that. If you go to your doctor, let's say men could get pregnant, and some of them out there do wish that they could.
Oh, there's a series on Netflix now about that. Just saying.
Ugh.
Gross.
Yeah.
I will not be watching that.
If
I'm
you
too
go,
committed to not needing brain bleach.
if you go to your doctor and you want to have any conversation about what your options are, do you think your doctor should be able to talk to you about all your options?
Yes.
We don't have that luxury.
You're
Women,
saying you women don't have that? Okay.
no, it's a gag order.
This is in
Texas.
In Texas.
In Texas,
Okay.
it's I think in 14 states currently.
Yeah.
The doctors are not allowed to discuss with you
Termination.
termination.
Gotcha. Okay. So that's what brought this back up. Or
Part
not?
of it is not all women biologically can figure out math and understand that they haven't had their period in quite a few months, that they are pregnant.
Right.
And some of them are too young to even know the difference. A woman should be able to go to her doctor and discuss anything in private, in privacy, and have that conversation. And a smart doctor will look at duty of care, will look at that person's financial, but they should be able to have that conversation. And if you have a very good relationship with the person you slept with that conceived this, that conversation should happen. But in many cases, you don't have that relationship. You don't have good fathers. And there is no law on the books that states if you knock her up, you are responsible.
No, there are none. I agree with that.
No,
there
they
aren't
have to
any.
be forced, and it's a rigmarole. And probably by the time they get it settled, your child is in excess of a year old.
And that's assuming that the guy doesn't take under the table work and refuses to financially provide for his
Right.
child, which happens. I have
All the time.
many friends who will never see a dime of any support for the children these guys so badly wanted. Now, I mean, I understand, Doctor, where you're coming from, because to be honest, you're very much the exception to the rule.
Absolutely.
There are not a lot of people who have strong religious beliefs like you do, who also support education-based sex education, who also support maternity leave. Typically, what we see this paired with is, too bad you're pregnant, the end. And, oh, well, they're 13. Well, it's a blessing. At 13, it's not a blessing. At 13,
No.
it could be a life-ending sentence.
Oh, absolutely.
And in some of these states, some of those 14 states, they don't care if you're a victim of incest. They don't care if you're a victim of rape. What happens to the baby in cases of incest?
The baby's the next victim.
It's a political ploy is what some of this comes down to. You and I both know judges live and die by Roe v. Wade. It also comes up in the same thing when you're running for the House or the Senate.
Right.
That's not right. So my statement is the extraordinaries of the case of reliability to accuse should outweigh the administration. Okay? For those that don't hang out with the craziness of my life. It's not the administration. It is the Supreme Court should not reverse Roe v. Wade, because the 14th Amendment guarantees that I, as a woman, have the same rights as you, Doc, because you're a man. Viability is a separate issue, and that can be argued for many things. But I want to be treated the same way you were if you could give birth.
So you're saying if I could give birth, the rules would be different?
Absolutely.
There would be an abortion clinic on every corner, like a Starbucks. They would do drive-through abortions.
I don't know about that.
They absolutely would.
But I mean, even in Texas, if they're going to take you in and discuss if you can afford this baby, half the babies would be half the people wouldn't have babies.
All
Well,
right.
reality is, if they're going to enforce this, then they need to start actually protecting women and start allowing them to have real rights and start financially
get it.
providing for these
And
children.
I agree.
And Republicans should really stop asking for 32 hours work when they want somebody to be home.
You can't raise a stable, mentally well child and then exhaust
it.
yourself at work.
I get it. Trust me.
Why? We do it all the time.
But we shouldn't have to.
We should.
And there should be a time limit on how long a man has to step up to the plate to be a responsible partner. If you're going to,
18 years.
but they don't all do it.
I'm
No,
just
they
saying
don't.
that.
They don't.
I'm just
They
saying
don't.
that's
No,
the
they
time
don't.
The
limit.
majority, you look at the majority of men now. Like watch a Maury Povich episode. I mean, I don't know if it's real but you know, how many of those men are in there yelling, "I'm not the baby's father. I'm not the baby's father." I mean, did you sleep with her? If you slept with her, there's that
a chance.
possibility.
Right.
I don't want to hear your mouth.
You know what's an interesting thing that we're starting to see now is more birthing and parenting agreements, because of how bad across the board most men are at actually stepping up and taking care of the child rearing labor, because that is a significant amount of time.
Oh my
And if
God.
you have a partner who's not pulling their weight, who's playing video games while you're dealing with the babies and making dinner and cleaning the house and this, that, and the other thing, that eats up your life. That eats up your soul.
And let's work a 32-hour week and then go home and deal with all the needs that are necessary to run a household and raise a child. One, just one. Let's not discuss what it's like if there's 2 or 3
One of the reasons
or
I
4.
divorced my first husband was because I recognized that without he wound up having to stay at work for like a week, because it was a snowstorm, it was a freeze, it was a forced you have to stay there kind of thing, because that place needs to run. It needs people to run, and we lived right down the street. I divorced him because that 1 week was so much easier than having him there.
Yeah, because sometimes having a man in your house is like having another
I didn't
child.
have somebody else making messes. I didn't have someone else undermining me. I didn't have someone else to deal with at the end of the day after doing everything by myself, who then demanded my attention like an adult child. It was easier to be on my own than it was to be with him.
Yes.
No, I got very lucky. My ex-husband, he likes being a dad. He's active and engaged. He was a very active and engaged dad when we divorced. When we were together, I did the majority of everything.
Yes.
But there are guys out there who, you know, they're very, very interested in having a dad. They're being a dad. They're very interested in having a kid, but they're not interested in actually doing any of the child work. They're very interested in locking their woman down and having that woman perform all those hours of unpaid labor, but they're not interested in putting the work in themselves.
And it's a lot of work.
It really is.
What is the value in the first 18 years of a woman's contribution, if she was a stay-at-home mom, let's roll it back to the 50s, what is the value of her contribution?
I think it was like $190,000 a year for all of the services a woman provides.
Yep.
On call 24/7.
Chief cook and bottle washer.
Yep. Laundry
You know.
service, maid service, everything.
Yep. And that's just what you're doing at home. That's not what you're doing specifically for your partner. You know, that's just running a household. And then you've got a husband that comes home or a partner that comes home, and you have all of his demands to meet as well.
And he has no shortage of demands after a long day of not doing any of the housework.
Right.
That's been my experience.
And my children are grown, and I still feel like I'm married to my house. It is non-stop.
Now let's take a look at all the women who were sent away to give birth, and the nuns took them, not asked them, took their child, and all those kids that don't have parents and are on all these ancestry shows trying to hook up with their biological family.
Because it was shameful.
It was.
It was shameful to come home pregnant and be unmarried. You know, or they hurried up and married you, and at some point in time, your kid's smart enough to do the math and realize your parents got married 2 months after you were conceived. You were like, oh, you know. It's crazy. It's a crazy mess, but it's definitely something that should be left to the individual, not our government. And you live with the consequences of your choices and your decisions, whether you choose to terminate a pregnancy or carry it and raise it or put it up for adoption. I mean, I couldn't imagine having a child out there that I didn't know, that I didn't know where it was. I didn't know if it was well. I didn't know, but
I mean, me personally, I had a long time ago, after I left my husband, I was in a relationship with a man who I hadn't been with very long. We had an accident happen. I was late. I talked to him immediately. I let him know this is where I stood. I personally would not choose to have an abortion. I'm too possessive and insane. Once that kid's mine, it's mine. That's it. That's it for me. Honest to God, I will go crazy. I'll rip someone's throat out for fun. I would definitely do it when I was pregnant. But honestly, like he was like, well, what about abortion? I was like, what about you going and, throwing yourself off a cliff? Like instantly, that was my result. That was my response to him. But the thing is my situation isn't everyone's situation. I'm not every person. There's people out there where their partners just say, oh, yeah, I'll pull out. And they don't. And then you're left pregnant. This person's irresponsible. This person lied to you. Accidents happen. Things happen even when you take protection.
A really good story. And you know this to be true. We'll call her Jane for the purposes of this because I'm not going to trailer trash somebody. I don't know if you were there when a lot of this happened, Doc.
Where?
Down at the place by the water. There was a young woman there who was sold, rented out, leased, whatever you want to call it, on a regular basis all her life. Does not have the brain cells of a toaster, to be fair, but sold all the time. I've been in that child's house. You'd be lucky if there was a can of soup in there and she wouldn't even know how to use the thing to open it. She was sold for money.
How much of that money did she see?
None.
Yeah.
I had to take her to the doctor because it was not a late issue, but possible germ issue. And we went to Planned Parenthood because that was the only place that would take her. And I had to pay out of pocket. And I'm okay with that. That was a good thing. But that day, apparently, somebody leaked the schedule that there was going to be an abortion there. And it wasn't for her, but it was for somebody else. To get her from my car to the door was an absolute nightmare. Screaming, shouting at her, shouting at me, right up until I got her in the door. And she's crying hysterically. She doesn't understand the full ramifications of what's going on. So I got her in, hand her off to the nurse. My turn, I'm going outside. And when I get my feathers ruffled, I get a little foul. I asked them.
Feathers.
See what
Wow.
you did there.
I get it. Yeah, I see what you did there. Again, we got to introduce a little bit of humor because I don't like to get too dark. But okay, go ahead.
I asked the crowd, what is their problem? And they said, we don't want this child to die. 63 million children a year die from abortion. You're like the NRA killing babies. I'm like, whoa.
Those are separate things.
Those are very separate things.
Separate things.
Very
So which
separate
one
things.
of them were offering to adopt?
None. And
Shock.
I asked, how much are they going to contribute to this child's care? Mm-hmm. How much they're going to contribute to their education? I'll take whatever they got in their pockets. They didn't care. They were there for the limelight. Mm-hmm. It's great that you say that you want to be, pro-life. That's wonderful. But until you're bucking up to help, until you're saying abstinence education only does not work. And there's crimes of lust. No, that's not crimes of lust. That's normal. That's normal.
Absolutely.
You're not having those conversations. And when you've got somebody who doesn't have the brain cells of a toaster being sold every night, I want every person on that list from that island. I want them in jail. When you stop sex trafficking, when you stop children being sold for your drinking money, those are the things that I get to put up with. The things that I go to those homeless encampments and I see children, many children, who don't have a roof over their head because dad walked out and mom can't work that many hours and has little ones. Do you ever wash your teeth or brush your teeth out of a car?
I have, yeah.
Most children shouldn't know how to do that at that young. You're not camping. You're camping permanently.
A life saved is not always a life saved.
I come from someone who hated my guts, and you know that to be true. The day my grandmother died, she said, "There's your mother. She's dead." Numerous times, right? It's a different side of the coin that not everybody sees. You're seeing it from a good guy's perspective.
I'm seeing it from here's my perspective. Because of my belief and because of what I believe.
Because you're a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with it. Because
Nothing
one
to do with
day,
sex.
one day I know I'm going to stand in front of the Creator. And if I have anything to do with terminating the life that was granted, I'm going to have to answer for it. That's the coin I see.
But what about any of your other sins?
Sin is sin, right?
The Book of Judgment is not there to torture you. The Book of
I'm
Judgment,
just saying, that's...
and I understand that. If you want to talk ideology, that has nothing to do with law.
Mm-hmm.
The ideology is when you go and stand in the Book of Judgment, everything comes to light.
For sure.
I'm not going to heaven. I'm probably Valhalla is the closest thing I'm going to get to.
I'll see you there.
Hey, cool.
Hey.
We got friends.
Yeah.
It'll be a cool party. Want to come?
I am not going to be sober that entire time. Just heads up.
And what were my other choices? You know me. Even if Madonna goes first and I get into heaven,
You can lower the standard.
Right, yeah, pretty much.
There's
gotta
gonna be a
scraping the
board
floor for
meeting.
Madonna.
and you know I'm going to go. Because that's what I do. I don't stand up for people because I think it's cool and it's fun and I like getting my ass kicked on a regular basis. I do it because I have to.
Mm-hmm.
And if a woman tells me, I can't do this anymore, my kids don't have food. You know, and if it was one of our girls, any girl at this table, you would beat the living crap out of whoever touched them.
Yeah, we both would.
Yeah.
Or worse, you guys will call Uncle Tim.
No, there's some
I think
things I
it'd be
like
worse.
doing myself.
Yeah.
There's some things I
there's a
actually
couple other
enjoy
things.
The
doing.
reality is, though, is not every woman is as lucky to know the people at this table that we are. The like for me personally, I know I have such a strong sense of community, and I know I have such good people in my corner that I wouldn't feel backed into making that choice. But not every woman has that.
That's right.
That's the
right.
reality of it. Because we know how it is. Like, if I called any of you guys for help, I know, one, you'll pick up the call the first time I make it. Two, whatever help I need, you guys are going to say yes. You guys know the same thing, too. You call me, I'm going to pick up. You're texting me, and I don't understand.
Your house in 3.5 minutes.
We're not going to discuss the legality of that.
But you're also on one end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
And you're saying, what if this, and what if there's no help, and what about the other people that have all the help and have all the support, and they still decided?
Yes.
Then what?
That's a reality
Then
of it.
that's
That's
what-
for
that's
sure.
the
No,
same-
that's
but
something.
here's the thing that when I was in high school, there was a girl, and I'm not going to say her name because she was kind of like the pump. Okay. She was. Truth be told, she had 3 abortions all through high school.
Mm-hmm.
She paid it with a credit card. She didn't care. That's
And
not what she wanted. She wanted to get her dancing degree and go out to California. She didn't care.
Well, then she should have been a little more proactive in her prevention.
Agreed.
Prevention.
In her
Agreed.
prevention, I don't think it should be used as a form of birth control. I don't think it should be used as a form of birth control for anybody.
Unfortunately,
For some people, it is.
Do you know how many?
for a
And
lot
that's
of
my
people,
problem
it
with
is.
it.
Do you
I
know how
don't
many?
think for a lot of people, for the majority of people who get abortions, it is not used as a
No,
form
it's
of birth
not.
control.
It's not. Because do you know how many suspensions I got for wearing rubber ducky condoms T-shirts? I actually wore a T-shirt in public. And I got in trouble because I supported safe sex. And that wasn't tolerated. There was, where was I going with that?
Rubber duckies.
Rubber duckies. Always wear your rubbers.
Yeah.
That was the greatest
Yeah.
marketing tool I ever saw.
But the reality is for those women who do use it as birth control, what do we do? Do we take them and we use them as the example, or do we use the women who, if they get pregnant, if they go through with this pregnancy, they're going to die on the table? Or do we use them as an example, the woman who, if she has another mouth to feed, everyone in that household is going to starve to death? Or the woman who has been raped from her father and her uncle since she was like 6. There's always, with every single decision, there's always going to be people who utilize it properly and people who don't. Look at gun legality. There's people out there who use guns in a safe, responsible manner, and then there's people who use guns irresponsibly. At no point is banning guns for everybody something that's ever seriously on the table.
And from a religious point of view, the way I've been raised is that sin is sin.
Right.
No one sin is any greater
Correct.
than another sin.
Right.
They're all equal. And if you ask for forgiveness, they're wiped from the slate.
Well, and it's a
There
good
are
point.
sins that are
And-
worse than others. There are, if you're Catholic, there are sins that
Absolutely.
Yeah, but you
Where
see,
there are.
You're looked at, sin is looked at as sin is sin, and it's you know.
Yes, but murder's a lot different than telling a white lie.
Still sin. Sin is looked at as
A sin.
Right.
And
So
we all
it's-
sin. God knows.
Right.
God knows we're imperfect.
Right. So
Maybe
and
you
bring
guys.
yeah. Well, Batman's the only perfect one I know.
Well,
But-
hey, I am
Ed Rebel
perfect, and
Rose.
I've never done anything wrong.
You and I, sister. That's it. We stand
I'll
again.
give you one that upsets me the most. There is a senator who wants to totally get rid of, if like you need to have a DNX for a medical reason.
What is a DNX?
That is, it's
a
a
rapper.
partial birth hysterectomy. I was pregnant before Jakey. Okay, I have a condition where it's very hard for me to have a daughter. There was no heartbeat, no nothing. I mean, I was a hot wreck. And if that senator has his way, I would have had to carry that to term and deliver it. I want no woman to ever experience that.
And again,
Understandable.
medical exceptions, I'm okay with that. I have no problem with that.
Well, like I said, it all comes back to, how each individual person feels about life.
Correct.
And that's where it's always going to stem from that.
Right.
Always.
Now, go ahead. Finish what you were saying about sin. Because we
I forget what I was saying.
sin is sin.
Sin is sin.
Sin is sin.
Sin is
It's
sin.
it's
Right.
deemed equal. There's no, in God's eyes, there's no worse sin. Sin is sin.
Right, sin is
But
a
also, I believe that if you ask for forgiveness, your slate is wiped clean.
Yes.
I might remember it, but God won't.
That's right.
He's going to forgive
Well,
me for it because he knows I'm human and he knows I'm flawed.
That
and he
brings-
knows I've done things I shouldn't
Right,
do.
and that brings a whole other discussion about religion and you know, what God's, you're born into, you know, a sinful nature, this world's under a curse, you know, the whole thing. And when God, you ask for forgiveness, God's not looking at you, he sees Christ because his blood covered your sins, right? So when you're asking forgiveness, he's looking at Christ, not you. You know what I'm saying? You were atoned for.
Correct.
So people believe that or they don't. And we can get into a whole religious thing if you want, but that's not our topic here. But
That's probably
But-
the only place I don't want to go.
But that's the sin you don't want to have to ask for forgiveness for. And I get that and I understand it. I also know that when your son is old enough to have that discussion with, you will teach him right from wrong from where you've been taught and how you believe. And you will teach him how to be sexually responsible. And in the end,
hey, listen, I could tell him to be as responsible
right,
as he
in
wants.
the end, it will be his
but-
decision to
Yeah.
make.
Yeah, but I mean, things are still going to happen.
Yep.
You know, and I'm going to install. I'm going to tell him what I believe,
Right.
and at some point, he's going to have to make a decision on his own, just like everybody else does.
Yep.
You know, and for me, and not taking anything away from anybody's argument because they have great points. It comes to me. It's when do I believe life begins?
And you believe
And
life
so-
begins at conception,
I
and
do.
and you're the man who's stuck around to make sure that your child has been taken care of and provided for, and you are the exception, not the rule.
And I
Yeah.
agree. I agree with what you are.
Yeah.
You are.
Well, I don't think I'm the exception. I think
You
there's
are.
a
Sad-
lot-
No,
well,
you are.
Sadly,
You are the
You
exception.
are absolutely the
There are more
exception.
people standing in the lines at domestic relations trying to get out of paying their child support or having their DNA checked to see if they're the father. There's more of those men out there
Yes.
than there are ones saying, you know what, that child might be mine and I'm going to stick around to find
Yes.
out.
She's
and if
right.
it is mine, I'm going to take care of it and make
Absolutely
sure it has everything it needs, irregardless of what my relationship is with its mother.
Well,
Right.
see, and that was the point. See, I didn't even know he was mine, but to me, like, okay, let's say it was somebody else's, and we don't know who that is, and they bounced. Okay, well, it's still, this is in my realm.
Again,
And now this is
you're the exception.
Well,
you and I both, because you and I both think
yeah.
we both think alike. Yes.
And
But
any
there
woman would
aren't
be
as
lucky to
many of
have a
us
man
as
with
there
that
are.
point of view.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if that child's mine or not, but if it is, I'm going to stick around to raise it. And even if it's not my child, I might stick around and raise it anyway because I'm a good person.
But that
I'm a
is
good human
such
being.
a small
I agree.
Such a
Well,
small
minority of
percentage.
men.
It is.
You have
Yeah.
guy friends. You have to know that this is not the normal outlook. Most of them are like, she says she's knocked up and it's mine. How do I know where that hoe has been?
Yeah.
That's the response you
Yeah.
get. Even if she's not the girl that's been sleeping around.
Yeah.
A lot of times they don't want to take responsibility, even when they know that they're
man
the
that
only
I
one
was
you've been
seeing
with.
Yeah.
When I had that whole situation come up, he knew that he was the only person I was seeing. He knows that because all my free time I wasn't with my kid, I was with him. I didn't have time with other people. And his response to me was, "Well, how do I know if it would be mine?" I'm like, "If you have any questions, off. We'll get a DNA test and I'll see you in court for child support. You will never ever see this child. You will never have visitation. The fact that you're having this question now means that I don't trust you with this little life."
My son's father left the scene when he was less than 2 years old.
Jesus.
Just walked out and left.
Yeah.
Didn't want to help us, didn't want to raise us. And I had been a divorced mother with a 2-year-old or a 4-year-old at that point in time. And my thought was, you know what? I don't need you. I don't have to deal with you coming to take my kid every other weekend. I don't have to deal with you whining and complaining about why you can't help me with shit. I don't need you. And I left it.
Not every woman has the ability to do that, though.
No. And I know that.
Yeah.
And I know that.
And it's
Yeah.
great to do that. I mean,
And I
honestly,
am-
when I first left my ex-husband, I was so mad at him because for me, marriage is serious. I'm pretty open to dating people, but when I get married, I take it very seriously. And I was so pissed at all the different reasons that in all honesty, I needed for my sanity to leave him. I was so pissed about that situation that for the first year, I didn't take a dime from him because I was that angry at him that I wanted nothing to do. I didn't want to know of his existence at that point.
Well, my son is now 37. Does not have a relationship with his father. His father has other children too, but he's never done a damn thing for my kid.
And there's a million
Ever.
stories like that where
And I'm
men
okay
walk
with
out
it.
of one family and then they go and raise another.
Yeah. And you know who gets to sleep with that every night? Him,
Yeah.
not me. I stuck around. I raised my kid. And I loved him and did the things that I could do for him. And I'm not sorry. I get a clean conscience because I did what I was supposed to do.
Right, and I think that's the majority of it is, okay, you had somebody walk out. They are now responsible to answer for that.
Right.
Right. You do what's in your wheelhouse.
Yep.
And what you think is right. And I think there's no easy answer for this
No,
topic.
there isn't.
Yeah.
Which is why I actually decided that we will do this.
Yeah.
But it's important.
This is probably one of the hardest ones
Are
to
you
do.
the one in charge? Nobody told us.
You can't even work the board.
Watch this.
But it isn't.
Oh, really?
But it
Watch
is
this. Oh, yes. I guess that makes me in charge because I got the buttons.
But it is important for us to be able to make a choice. It is important
I
for
agree.
us to be able to have a
I agree.
choice.
Oh, no, I
And
agree.
until men have uteruses, I don't think they should
Which
be
is
able to
coming
make
soon.
that
Which
decision.
is
Coming soon.
This is really
your Walmart.
According to some people, yes.
You guys will
What's
not
happening?
survive the period.
So
let
what
alone anything else.
happens? What happens from here after this leak? Since you're our expert, like what?
I'm not the expert.
Well,
No,
you know
but
a lot more than I do.
Yeah, you're better informed on the judicial end of things than the rest of us
Rebel,
are.
you
That'd
probably
be
know
doctor.
this too.
That
so,
should never have. This should never have happened.
That's kind of what
The
I.
leak should
I
never
mean,
have
I'm
happened.
shocked.
I'm
Well,
not.
it
It's
doesn't-
not.
Find
it's
out
not the
who
first
did
one.
it, and their career's over in law.
Doesn't
Done.
matter.
I feel like
This
it
Go
topic-
flip.
happened
You may as well
intentionally.
go start learn this phrase. Whoever leaked this should learn this phrase. And here you go. I hope you're
You want
paying
fries with
attention.
that?
Right, exactly. Do you want fries with that?
I think it was
Because that's
done
basically
intentionally.
that's what I'm saying. That's
Oh,
what
it's
you
absolutely
may
done
as well
intentionally.
learn this phrase. Do you want fries with that?
There.
Because that's the only job you're going to get after this.
I disagree entirely. I don't believe they're ever going to ever prosecute anybody for this because the Giselle
No,
Maxine.
not prosecute.
No,
but
no.
believe me,
They will be fired immediately.
they'll be
Yes.
fired, and their legal career is over. They will
I
be
don't think so.
disbarred ever. Yeah, no.
Yeah, that is the law. That is the law.
That's
I
the
agree
law.
that that's the law.
It's going to happen. Period. Done. Accept it.
So-
Because the ones that leaked this, leaked this to start this crap.
Yeah.
To stir the
to
pot.
stir the pot.
Right, exactly.
And you
Here's
know
why-
what? They're the people you don't want in those positions.
Here's why I think this was leaked on purpose because Giselle Maxine, or maybe I'm mispronouncing her name,
She just
Jeffrey
got-
Epstein's,
yeah.
she got 10 years knocked off her maximum
Yeah,
sentence.
Yeah.
While this big thing
Yeah.
is happening,
This is
so
all
many
sleight of
other
hand.
horrible.
That's just like the Will
Yeah.
Smith slap and
Yeah.
you know
And
Yeah.
the Johnny Depp
and-
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And these people are
Well,
meeting
everybody's
in
using
Dubai.
any type of
Weapons.
distraction they
Well,
can. To
there-
the fact
there's
that
a
this
bigger
country's
thing
going
at
to
play
hell.
here, and you know,
Yeah.
there's
And there
while-
always is.
While
Yeah.
that was all going on, the slap heard around the world.
Yep.
and
Yep.
There was meetings in Dubai about next step on what's happening in the world. If you do your history and you do your research, the people at this meeting are discussing New World Order and One World. There's a lot of
Yeah.
things at play here.
So while I agree that that's
while
what
we're
was
looking
legally
over
correct,
here and we're split
and that's
down the
absolutely
middle.
guy
the
doing
punishment
behind
for
the
it.
curtain?
I don't actually think anyone's going to be prosecuted for it because I think
No.
it was done intentionally.
Right, exactly. And they'll be on.
They'll be
an
like, "Oh,
island.
we investigated ourselves and
Couldn't
found
find
nothing."
Yeah.
I'm gonna go live on Mars with Elon Musk.
I'm not living there with Elon Musk. He's a horrible misogynist.
I'm
Kitty will
okay
put him
with
in his
it.
place.
He could tweet though.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, I think he's going to be good for Twitter.
I think
yeah.
he is too. Yeah. Wow, so that
I think
was
I can
deep.
handle him.
That was
Waters
not a
are
fun
deep.
one.
No, that
No,
wasn't fun. But
No, and I knew it wasn't going to be.
yeah, that's not fun.
It's
But
not
I-
a fun
and
topic, and,
you-
it's
you-
not
you
a fun
guys-
reality.
You guys know me. A lot of times I'll be like, yeah, I don't know if we want to do that.
Well, that's why I asked.
But
at the
this
end
one,
of
I
the
said,
last
you know
one.
what? Yeah, we'll do this because it's going to be okay. Now, we started off before we actually got into the meat of the situation.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of time.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
were
yeah.
just kind of doing our usual thing. What do you think our total time is on this show? Can this this is
An hour
obviously
and 20 minutes.
Yeah, I'd say we're definitely over the hour.
Try,
well, we're definitely over the hour.
try about an hour and 40 minutes.
We are about an hour of this topic
Really.
because we didn't start it until about a 20. And Rocket, you're right. 1:37. We're at.
And
It's a
we
deep
could spend.
subject.
You know what? We could spend another 60.
And I
hours
guarantee you that our listeners would be listening to this for that
on it.
whole
Yeah,
time.
for sure.
Oh yeah.
You know, because they know that we try not to like waste time, but at the same time, this is one that people need to talk about.
It's a real subject. It's good.
It is a real
There's
subject.
some real deep concerns in regards to women's ability for health care and healthy options. Nobody should be able to prevent us from getting what we desire or need for ourselves.
One of my only issues with this is, Rebel, you kept saying that this is, it's men telling women what they should do with their bodies. Keep in mind, this was a, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
I don't know where you're going.
Bipartisan?
No, everybody.
Majority?
Majority, not majority. No, I mean everybody.
Oh. Collective?
Unanimous?
Yeah,
it's a
unanimous.
collective.
That's the word. It just wouldn't come to me. This is again, this is just a thing that they put out saying, well, at this point, it's unanimous. Not everybody on the Supreme Court
That's
now
not true. Yeah,
has a
It's
dick
not.
between their legs.
Agreed.
So
And
please
I don't
do not.
believe that's unanimous. It cannot be.
But according to what was put out,
Yeah, I don't believe it.
it was again. Well, then there's another issue to be looked at.
I mean, there are liberal justices. They
Right.
would. I just
Yeah, Joe
don't
Biden
believe
just got his liberal black justice on there.
it. So yeah, I mean,
but
well,
she's
that-
not in yet.
That, yeah,
She's not in yet.
She's not
She
in
will
yet.
be. She will be.
But she's not yet.
She will be.
As it states now, it's still not a bunch of men saying this. And if
No,
this
but I
was
bet you
truly,
there's a majority of men.
but if
Yeah, it
this
is.
still was unanimous, then it wasn't all men.
But that
And
that
just saying,
represents one woman, I think, right?
But it's still not all men.
I never said it was all men.
Yes, you did.
You did.
Oh,
yes,
okay.
you did.
Fair enough.
73, it was all men.
I just want to put that out there.
Fair enough.
Okay. So let's see what happens from here,
Nothing
Yeah.
good.
which is all we can do.
Nothing good, to be honest, because we're
Which
not
is
the
all we
women of the
can do.
1950s, man. We have no problem using our Second Amendment rights to dismantle everything that exists. You want to take away our bodily autonomy? We're going to take away some stuff from you.
Yeah, I heard
Isn't
that.
it? I mean, this topic, and it's not funny, but the same. And I told you way back when, the same people that yelled in my face, "My body, my choice," were the same ones telling me to get the vaccine because I had no choice.
See, now
I'm
that's
just
not
saying.
necessarily
Now that-
110% the same, because
see,
I'm a
there you
my
go.
body, my choice person. But I never said what
That's-
choices I make
you
are
never
the
did.
choices.
Right.
You never did.
There's people
You
out there
never
who
did.
I'm
Yeah,
just saying,
absolutely.
yeah.
But
It's the same. There's a dichotomy. Yeah.
So
that
it's like,
is interesting.
where does my
Yeah,
body,
where-
my choice?
exactly.
Oh, my body, my choice for this, but not my
But not-
body, my choice
See,
for
for me,
this.
it's universal. For me, it's all across the board. You can't pick
Right,
and choose
exactly.
Oh,
Well,
you're the
that's-
what
minority.
choices.
I don't want
I
anybody
think-
making
Yeah.
choices for
Right.
me
I
for
think
what I
every
need to
one
do
of
for
us
myself.
here at this table
Right.
believes that, without a doubt. No matter
What's that?
what the other stuff is, every one of us believe that the whole my
what?
body, my choice.
For the
Right,
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah.
anything.
Well, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
All right, but here it is again. It's that double standard.
Right. Exactly.
It's like, well, this is but you have to get the
I mean,
vaccine. You
yeah,
have
yeah.
to do this. You have to do that. Oh, when it comes to this,
well,
you know,
Yeah. You don't.
no bull crap.
And as my father would say, the only things I have to do are shit and pay taxes.
Yep.
Yeah. I
And
don't
even
like
then,
paying
you don't have
taxes.
to do that.
Yeah.
I try to be really like 110% fair in my approach of stuff. So I do try
Yes,
to
you
like,
do.
in all honesty, like I apologize for saying all men because
Yeah,
it's not all men.
and you did
There's
several times actually.
Yeah, so there's that Amy Cohen. I'm probably mispronouncing it. I
Amy
know she
Cohen
sits.
Barrett.
Yep. So she's on the Supreme Court.
That's
so
correct.
It's, you know,
and so is
Yeah. Where's
Sotomayor.
Sotomayor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
But the ratio, I'm sure, is very skewed.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
very
Oh
skewed.
no! It is.
Yeah.
I'm just calling out the fact that
It's
she
not all
said
men.
it's a bunch of men trying to, and I was like, yeah, no, it's not.
It's probably a majority of
Because
men.
if this,
Definitely.
Here's
it's a
what busts
majority
my
of men,
bubble.
but basically it is unanimous among the Supreme Court as it sits.
and that's
so then
fine.
there must
But
be
they
a legal reason. Then there would have to be, but I
That's-
just don't believe it.
That's
because
my
they need
point.
more
Oh,
minimum wage workers because the population decline is threatening the continuity of capitalism in America. The next thing they're going to start
Okay.
working on is
Here
birth
we
control. Hey, I got a couple interesting
Here
theories
we
about
go.
it. That's just what I feel.
Here's the
How long
one
do we
thing-
want to go today? I'll keep going. I'll get
No,
around.
I just want Doc to run through what it takes to get to the Supreme Court. This is not like we in and out in a month.
Yeah.
Yeah, but once you're on there for life.
Right.
No. For a case to get to the Supreme
case
Court.
to get
Something to be
to-
presented
yeah.
to be brought to be voted on.
Well, it's got
That and you mentioned that the Supreme Court is the only one that I agree with.
yeah.
That once you get up there, you're on there until you
Yeah.
retire or die.
Or die. Mhm.
As far as Congress and all of that,
Yeah, they should all. Yeah.
term limits,
Yeah.
I disagree with that entirely. What's the difference?
big difference.
But if we're having someone who we're saying you're too old to make competent decisions, then in my opinion, they're definitely too old to be making any decisions on the Supreme Court.
And
At a
not
certain age,
Not only that,
you're done.
let's just look at the difference in the morals and the values of what life is from somebody that's our father's age
Right. Yeah.
versus
Total
you and I
difference, right.
versus my children.
Yeah.
right.
Well,
Totally
yeah,
different mindsets.
but our fathers to our children, absolutely different. Oh,
Correct.
my God, yeah.
Correct.
Sure.
There's an expansion of thought that comes along with
Experience.
and
Yeah.
education.
Yes.
Our kids have much more stuff available to them than we did.
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean, you want to talk about birth control for a second and how that's evolved and how your kids are very well versed in what's available to them in terms of birth controls. My girls are very up on what's available. And if they don't know about it, they pull up their phones and they research it. I didn't have that.
Well, there's another thing.
No.
There's resources available now that were not
They
available to
weren't.
any
Right.
of us
Right.
growing up.
So how can somebody who's got an antiquated set of values be sitting on the Supreme Court making decisions for people who are here today?
Yep.
They need
And tomorrow.
There needs to be an age limit is what there needs to be. Not a term limit, an age limit. Once you're over X number of years of age, your thoughts and ideas are no longer viable in what's going on in today's
over
world.
a certain age, you're not. They tell
you're
you
not
you can't
open.
drive anymore.
Yeah.
So yes, okay, I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, right. If they take your driver's license
Right.
away,
Yeah.
but they let you stay in an
maybe
important
not so
position
much,
like that,
yeah. Not that they need to drive because they're driven everywhere, but that's besides the
Well,
point.
not necessarily, but
Actually, you know that no. it
I
is.
heard a
They
rumor
have
that
drivers.
there's
Yeah,
pharmacologists, I think is the correct term, pharmacists.
pharmacists.
Pharmacists who fill a surprising number of medications used to commonly treat Alzheimer's as well as dementia for people serving in Congress now.
I'm sure there's.
These
wow.
people
And
should
and yet nobody gives it to
absolutely-
Joe.
Yeah.
I,
I don't want them to.
Yeah,
these
yeah,
people
they're
should
told not to give them to Joe
absolutely
because
not
obviously
be making laws
Oh,
for
yeah,
generations.
That's another topic. We'll be on
Yeah.
that forever. But Kitty, there's state courts and there's a state Supreme Court and there's federal courts. So once your appeals go up to the state Supreme Court,
But it's longer than 9 months.
It's yes, it sure is.
Yeah.
So
couple years maybe.
Yeah, by the time it takes you to get up there, it's a moot point.
Somebody's been
Absolutely.
ruffling feathers and pushing this
Yeah.
for quite some time
Oh.
to get it to where it is today.
Absolutely.
You know, and the reality of the situation is it was solved in 1973. It's working for the people who are here now. It doesn't need to be revisited.
I agree with that. It doesn't need to be revisited. It's been fine the way it is.
Correct.
Yep, let it go.
It's not a perfect world, and not everything is perfect. But yeah, I mean, it's been 50 years since this has happened. And
well, we need a new distraction to
we need a new
Well,
distraction.
that
We need
and
more
that's
dissension.
exactly
Right.
what this was.
Yep.
That's exactly what this was.
We need to stop wasting taxpayers' money and address things that are really
they're
important.
just going to print
Exactly.
800 billion more and send it overseas.
Yes.
So
Well, the way I read the situation is the justices as they sit now are saying this never should have been decided by us back then because this is something that should have been
state
decided at the state level.
Yeah.
Well,
And
it
and-
was a
no,
state level before
Right.
73.
Right. And what they're saying is we should drop it back down to a state level. That's all they're saying. They're not saying that it's wrong. They're just saying that this actually never
Shouldn't
should have
be,
been
yeah.
done at the time.
Part of that
and-
problem. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. And that's basically that they should have just let it. They shouldn't have even They shouldn't have rethought it.
Yeah.
They shouldn't have double guessed themselves. They should have just Just let it go the way it is. Everything's fine.
Well, it's 50 years. They're not.
All right.
They're not second guessing themselves. They're second guessing somebody that made a decision 50 years ago.
Right.
Which
Yeah.
is BS
Yes.
Yeah.
and a waste of taxpayers' money.
Yes.
And leave it alone.
Right. And I do agree they should have left it as it was. All right. There was no reason to revisit this. And they may be right. Maybe it shouldn't have been. But it was.
is now.
Yeah.
So
But
where's
it
the
was.
precedent? So
Well,
And the problem-
and that's the thing. Everybody today is trying to correct any mistakes, or in this case, perceived mistakes from the past.
Can you undo your past mistakes?
We need to pull down these
Time machine.
the statues of Washington and Jefferson, because actually they had some slaves. Okay, so we're going to forget about all the good stuff they did and everything they did for this
And it was
country
legal?
built this. And right, that's just it. It was legal back then. All right, you're going back and trying to correct past mistakes that are in the, what's the word I'm looking for?
Their history.
That's right, past. Exactly. Thank you very much.
Their history.
Right.
You can't-
Exactly.
We can't undo our past. You
Yeah.
need to stop. You need to stop focusing our resources on things that have already been resolved.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The longer we spend looking behind us, the less time we're going to have to look forward. We need
Yeah.
to be more focused on the future of our country and how to unmess up all the stuff that's currently going on. I'm trying to keep the editing down to a minimum here.
Well,
it's difficult.
It is difficult. And believe me, in this one,
Yeah.
I've been keeping mental counts.
Oh, I'm sure I've
gonna
been
some-
terrible.
You were the
I am
the worst offender,
awful.
my dear. But that's
I
okay.
love my sentence enhancers. You know what, JB? When you edit this, don't even edit it out. Just make dolphin noises.
He's using this now.
Actually, yeah. I actually, yeah.
That's good.
That's our.
When this is edited out, just dolphin noises.
Dolphin noise.
They did it on SpongeBob. It was hilarious.
It's like trying to go. Actually, I like the what dolphin or a. That's a good one.
It should
I like
be goat
I like
noises.
Quacks. No. I like
Quacks are
doc.
good.
Quack 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 quack.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah.
going back and we were saying about want to go back and correct past mistakes, but you can't.
Mm-hmm.
The last time I saw my sister,
Uh-oh.
I told her that she was. I said, you know what, you're just a selfish, uncaring.
See you next
person.
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Well, that's part of it. That's part of it, and you are going to need to
Oh, boy.
this.
Okay.
All right. Instead of saying, you're just a selfish, uncaring person, I'd like to go back and correct that mistake and said, you know what? You're nothing but a stupid.
Freudian slip. Yeah.
Yeah, okay, you can go with that too.
Yeah. Gotcha. Mm-hmm. All right. I think I'm gonna leave you with a joke. You ready?
Oh, please, because that's what we do. Real people, real opinions, tempered with what? A real sense of humor. Thank you.
This is a dad joke.
Okay.
All right. So, what's the difference between Abu Dhabi and Dubai?
I don't know what.
The people in Dubai don't like the Flintstones, but the people in Abu Dhabi do. You can use that. I'll give you full permission. And on that note, I'll see you next week. Yeah, that was. Thanks everyone at the table. That was.
And I want to
That was
say
a deep one.
thanks to everybody for listening, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And we do.
Yeah.
I don't like to get too deep because I like to keep things light. I like to have fun. But sometimes you have to have adult conversations too. And I think we did okay with this one.
Yeah, we did good.
And like I said, we have 6 people that sit around this table. We all have our own opinions. But guess what? We talk it out.
Yeah.
And we don't always agree. It's like America the way it used to be. If any of you are listening that have a problem with that, do me a favor. Go back over the border the other way to make room for the ones that keep letting in now. that are trying to make a better life for themselves, because apparently you don't appreciate what you have, so we really don't need you. All right? You have to be able to disagree with people and still respect them and still enjoy them. Any one of us, every single one of this at this table, every single one of us would kill for the other one, literally. And I'm not making this up. We are very protective of each other because we've known each other for so long. Even though we don't agree, we will literally fight to the death for each other. So the rest of you out there listening, take note and enjoy it. Be good to each other. We'll see you again in a week or so. And until then, like I said, be good to each other and just have fun. Enjoy life. You get it once. Make the most of it. Enjoy it. And we'll see you again in just a little while. Take care. Bye-bye.